the session with the words that China and Bangladesh are in completely in opposite level at this moment in global renewable energy landscape. We know that China is the global leader in the renewable energy sector. On the other hand, Bangladesh is on the opposite side. Bangladesh ranked 111 out of 190 countries in renewable energy use at domestic level. So from that angle, we can easily understand that two countries have a different path or different trajectory so far in the renewable energy sector. However, at the same time, you also understand that Bangladesh has a lot of things to learn from China. So how China made good success over the years, particularly in the last 4 decades, that Bangladesh need to learn and need to actually use it for its development in the renewable energy sector in the coming decades. And that's why we have organized this kickoff dialogue on Chinese experience, as well as its implementation and the challenges in case of investment in Bangladesh. So, colleagues, those who have joined, you need to actually choose your language from the interpretation point. If it is Chinese, then you can choose it, or if it is English, then you can actually choose it from there. So there will be a translation in the both language that will simultaneously continue over the whole session. So, and as I said to you, is that today we have 2 sessions. In the first session, we'd like to highlight on the Chinese experience on the renewable energy development, domestic and overseas experience that we like to hear. And this session will continue from 9:45, meaning the 10 a.m. to 11:15 a.m., 1.5 hour or 115 minutes in Bangladesh time, or in other way, it is 12 noon to 1:15 p.m. in Beijing time. And we have the second session that will be on opportunities and challenges for Chinese overseas investment in Bangladesh's renewable energy sector. And that session will start at 11:15 a.m. And it will end at 1:35 p.m. In Beijing time, it will be 13:15 to 15:35 p.m. And we have in each session we have open discussion platform, so where we like to hear from the audience. Anybody can actually raise hands and can share his views, whether it is in English or in Chinese. That won't be in. He or she may also have their comments and views in the chat box, and if it is in English or in Chinese language, that won't be a major issue in this regard. So that are some of the Sir, can you hear me, sir?
Sorry for interrupting, but I think I finally managed to get in. So,
thank you, sir. Just I'm sir completing the introductory notes, and I will just hand over to you, sir.
Okay, no, that's no problem. You carry on. Sorry because I was trying for the last 15 minutes. Anyway, please carry on.
Okay, sir. So today we have a distinguished set of guests and panelists with us. Let me actually welcome a few of them. Not all of them have joined at this moment. Some of them will join in the second session, but let me actually mention their names here. We would like to actually welcome here Ms. Waseka Aisha Khan, Honorable MP, Bangladesh National Parliament, and she is the chair of the Parliament Standing Committee on Power and Energy. Then we have with His Excellency Mr. Yao Wen, Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary People's Republic of China to the People's Republic of Bangladesh. So he will also join in the second half of the session. And we have also with us a distinguished guest of honor, Mr. Mohammad Hussain, Director General, Power
Hello,
Cell.
good morning and good afternoon. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you, Hossein Bhai. Thank you for joining today. We are looking forward to your presence in the whole session. And also, we have a distinguished set of panelists who will intervene in the both sessions. In the first session, the panelists include Mr. Wang Weiquan, Deputy Secretary General, Chinese Renewable Energy Industries Association, and Mr. Qin Haiyang, Secretary General, China Wind Energy Association. And we have also Mr. Fazlul Haq, Director SREDA, with us here. And in the second session, we have a set of distinguished panelists, Mr. Peng Gang, Managing Director, Chin Solar Bangladesh Company Limited, and Mr. Rong Hai, Chief Representative, Southwest Electric Power Design Institute Company Limited, Bangladesh branch. So I welcome all of them for today's kickoff dialogue. So at this stage, let me actually invite today's Honorable Chair of the session, Mr. Manjuri Ilahi, a distinguished industrialist, as well as our member, CPD Board of Trustees, and former advisor of caretaker government, to say an introductory remarks.
Thank you, Mozam. Sorry for my delay in getting into the webinar, but as you can see, I'm not very tech savvy, but still I managed to get in. Anyway, thank you very much. I think this kickoff virtual meeting that we are having, this is very important because while representing the corporate world, the business world, every time this sustainability comes into the question. So when we talk to our customers, the first question they ask that we're not interested in how many machineries you've got and what buildings you have. We're interested in what are your strategy for sustainability. There's a first question that they ask, and that's part of the compliance. And then they go to specifics by saying that what are you doing about energy? Are you doing something about the renewable energy? So we said, we don't have the know-how. He said, well, okay, we're giving you some time. But today or tomorrow, you have to go. And you have no choice. So I think I would like to congratulate and thank CPD for organizing this at a very appropriate time. This is renewable energy because just a few months back when there was outages, shortage of power everywhere, we had to use fossil fuel, especially diesel. Our cost of production went up by almost 15 to 20%, which is not sustainable because as it is our, export, I'm in the export-oriented industry. As it is, the prices are squeezed. And then you have the additional cost. So renewable energy is absolutely a necessity. There's no substitute for it. Unfortunately, we haven't progressed very far in this line, but hope to learn from China. China has made tremendous progress. That's why it's a case study at today's meeting, discussion meeting, and we can learn a lot from China. So without much further ado, I would like to start the meeting. Just a small reminder, a polite reminder. I have the unpleasant task of moderating this. So time is a very important factor. So time management, ladies and gentlemen, is very important because we would like to close this meeting by 1:45 p.m. That's what I've been advised. So it's 1:45. So I would humbly request all the speakers to please, the time allotted to them, could you please kindly honor that time frame that you have. Thank you very much. And with that, Mozam, I hand over it to you. So you want to call the speakers, give a little bit of introduction.
Okay,
thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your very important and pointed issues that you have raised regarding the energy-related challenges that Bangladesh confronted and why we need renewable energy as a sustainable solution for the private sector and for the business. At this stage, let me actually invite Mr. Mashfiq Hassan Ridoy, who is a research associate at Center for Policy Dialogue, to make his kickoff presentation for the first session. And he will make the presentation on China's success on renewable energy development. So he prepared this presentation based on the secondary information as well as some important key informant interviews. So over to you, Mashfiq. So you have allotted 20 minutes.
Good morning, everyone. Am I clearly audible and visible?
Yes.
Okay. So my screen is also visible,
Yes.
if I'm not wrong.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, honorable guests, good morning. Thank you for coming to our webinar, which is on opportunities and challenges for overseas investment in renewable energy sector of Bangladesh, the case of China. For the first session, what we would like to focus on, like China's success on renewable energy development, where we actually focused on how China, within a span of 40 years, became a global champion in renewable energy. So what we did, we initially overviewed China's renewable energy sector. Then we looked at like the legal aspects, institutional aspects, financial and technical and operational aspects, and how the R&D sector of renewable energy in China developed. And then we made some concluding remarks and recommendations that might be applicable for Bangladesh. So as we all know, China is accountable for 28% of global renewable energy capacity as of 2020. In 2021, renewable energy accounted for almost 30% of total power generation, which is pretty much 7% in increment compared to 10 years before. And China has accounted for almost 51% renewable energy total renewable energy installed from non-fossil fuels. And China has, as per as the quartile 1 of 2023, China has like 228 gigawatt of solar capacity installed in their own country. So if we look like how the transition took place in China, so in 2005, China passed their the mother of all the renewable energy laws, the Renewable Energy Law, which set the target and introduced some concepts like feed-in tariff, and they have set like exact goals what they are trying to achieve from their renewable energy goals and targets. As of 2010, China became through a lot of practices, China became the world's largest producer of wind power. As of 2020, China introduced their nationally determined contributions, and they decided a goal of net zero emissions by 2060. And in 2021, China's climate policy determined a 1+N framework, and they have also mandated their 14th five-year plans, where they decided that they would initiate a practice of carbon dioxide peaking and carbon neutrality and action plan, so that by 2060 they can actually achieve their goals. So what we try to focus on in this study is like, as I've already mentioned, how China became a global leader from one of the biggest fossil fuel consumers of the world, how they became a global leader in renewable energy. So if you look at these two graphs, you will see that the Chinese energy consumption, both from renewable energy sector, actually increased. And if we look at the graph at the right side, the clean energy investment in China, if we look at the low emission power sector, grids and storage sector, efficiency and end use or low emission fuels, you will see that within a span of next 10 to 15 years, their investment will be increasing. That's how they are planning to reach their carbon neutrality goal. Now let's jump on to the legal aspects. When it comes to the legal aspects, we focused on how permission and license is being generated, what are like their rules for generation, transmission, distribution, how they deal with intellectual property rights, and what is like the land acquisition and land rights in China. So if we focus on what are like the major laws for dominating China's renewable energy sector, as I've already mentioned, the mother law is Renewable Energy Law of People's Republic of China, which stipulates that China should actually really focus on renewable energy. Then they have a draft energy law, which stipulates how the renewable energy can be developed It has like a detailed plan, and they also have like supporting policies, which one of the biggest one is 14th five-year plan, which sets a goal for 50% of China's incremental energy consumption to come from the renewables. And they are also planning to achieve a 50% of renewable energy share by 2025 as well. Now, if we look at the rules for China's generation and transmission and distribution, China has like a lot of laws regarding this. They have like a main electricity law, which is like the main provisions for regarding investment regulations and generations. They have a fair dispatch rule, which concerns with transmission and distribution fees. They have already feed-in tariff. They have a unique contract system called forward contract, which is a contract between generators and big consumers within a same province. They also have energy conservation law, and they have regulations by national development and reform commissions, which provides guidance regarding manufacturing and financing of renewable energy. Now, as we all know, when it comes to renewable energy, one of the biggest issue is lack of land. In China, what they have like their own program called Renewable Energy Scale-up Program, or CRESP, which focuses on the resettlement action plan for the stakeholders, which means when a new power plant is being erected in any region, the people of that region will have employment opportunities, they will have social assistance, and they might also be provided with the opportunity to be replaced in somewhere else. China has a strict land zoning and planning policy, planning guideline, which stipulates that new renewable energy power plants should be built on areas like desert or unused land or unfertilized land, rather than destroying their forest or agricultural lands or their mountains as well. So there are basically a four-way process of getting permissions for renewable energy installations. First of all, they have to take permission from NEA, which is National Energy Agency Association. So they have to first initially take the administrative permit. Then for the feasibility study, they have to also take a project P approval, which is also being issued by NEA. On the third stage, they have to take permission from the Ministry of Land and Resources. And for the fourth part, since China has like two grid companies, State Grid Corporation of China and China Southern Power Grid Corporation, they have to take approval from them as well. Regarding intellectual property rights, as we all know, China is really booming in technological side. So a question might arise how they handle intellectual property rights. Since 1990s, China has a strict intellectual property rights, or IPR, which has a proper guideline of reformations and developments, so that all the innovators who are building new technologies, their rights are being properly practiced, and they get proper royalties. And China has sometimes imposed restrictions on foreign ownership and control in certain parts of its renewable energy sector. For example, when Germany came to invest in their country, China has imposed restrictions on foreign ownership actually. Now let's jump on to the institutional aspects. So first of all, we focused on how the institutional framework evolved, then how the NGOs and civil society helped them, what are like the effective policies and programs, and what kinds of international collaboration and partnerships they had. So if we look at this chart, as I've already mentioned, National Energy Administration is like the mother of all the organizations concerning renewable energy in their country. So this agency is responsible for energy planning and policy development. They also have State Grid Corporation of China, which focuses on grid integration. They have China National Energy Investment Group, which focuses on the investment side. They also have China Renewable Energy Society, which is a non-profit academic organization which focuses on the dissemination of the knowledge regarding renewable energy. They also have China Renewable Energy Engineering Institute, which conducts research and provides technical supports. And as I've already mentioned, they have National Development and Reform Commission, which is responsible for macroeconomic planning and development as well. When it comes to the NGOs or civil society, the three major NGOs or civil society in China is Friends of Nature, Global Environmental Institute, and Rock Environment and Energy Institute. These three organizations where at the initial phase of the Chinese renewable energy transition, they are the ones who arranged dialogues. They are the ones who invited foreign entities to their country for knowledge sharing, for technology transfer, and thus they help the national government to build a policy that through which they can achieve their renewable energy goals as well. So now I would focus on like what kinds of international collaborations and partnerships they have. As you can see here, China has collaborations with like all the major organizations. They have they are collaborated with IRENA. They are also getting assistance from World Bank for battery storage promotion project. United Nations Environment Program has helped them for policy recommendations for the 14th FYP. They also get investment from ADB for clean energy, and they also recently they also received investment from IFC for solar energy, large scale thin film based solar, which is more efficient than the in general solar technology that we know about. So what are like the effective policies and programs? So first of all, they have like a renewable energy quota, which which has set a target that 33% to the national power consumption by 2025 should be supplied from the renewable energy source. They also have renewable energy auctions, which is going pretty well in China. They also have a carbon trading pilot programs, which has been successful in 285 cities overall China. They also have preferential electricity pricing so that none of the consumers or the generators are facing any kind of losses when it comes to buying or selling electricity. They also have like incentives like tax breaks and subsidies, which we'll talk about later part in our presentation as well. Now, if we focus on like the financial aspects, what we focused on, like what are the financial models present in China, renewable energy, how they handle risks and uncertainty, what are like the favorable locations for them to invest, and how they attract local investment in their own country. So there are basically four financial models being practiced in China's renewable energy sector. First of all is obviously public-private partnership, where government usually plays a focal point. A unique system they have is called build operate own transfer, or BOOT, where the private entities build their own companies, build their own power generation system, and they have their own transmission and distribution system. And after building and starting the business, when they reach their break-even point from the from the aspect of the profits, they can sell their property to the public sector. So thus no one is actually harmed financially. And also China has like a policy banks which usually provides large scale of loans for massive centralized infrastructure. And when it comes to the National Development Bank, China has provided special loans of 250 billion RMB for renewable energy projects in the Belt Road Initiative countries. So as we see, like with all these financial models, China doesn't have to worry about financing issues in their country. When it comes to like the financial risks and uncertainties, they deal with this with their long-term power purchase agreements. They also have risk insurance and guarantees. For example, at least 30% of the projects for which the loans are being asked for should be self-financed. They also have market stabilization measures, and for which they are planning to build a national electricity market by 2025 to optimize resource allocation and improve efficiency in power generation as well. Now, since China is investing globally in all over the world, so what are like the favorable conditions which helps them to focus on region basis? For Southeast Asia, since they have feed-in tariffs, tax incentives, and a fixed central target, they are investing in Southeast Asia. For Central Asia, since they have like less geopolitical conflicts and they have better regional security. In Africa, there is a huge amount of renewable resources, and since Africa has also introduced carbon pricing and reduction of fossil fuel investment, that is also a big area for them to invest. And in case of Latin America countries like Brazil has already started using of net metering and renewable energy quotas, and thus they are investing in Latin America as well. And for attracting local investment, since Chinese government is providing subsidies and tax related incentives, they have their own corporate income tax law through which there is an immediate VAT rebate of 50%, which is being applied for selling self-produced solar and wind power equipments. Thus, they are attracting local investment as well. When it comes to the technical aspects, what we focused on the efficiency and cost effectiveness, the challenges of grid integration, what are like the best strategies being applied, and what is like the reliability and resilience of their system. So if we I would like to mention like four really unique technology that is being practiced in China, which is bifacial solar cells, floating solar farms, concentrated solar power, and low-speed wind turbine. What I'd like to talk about is low-speed wind turbine. As we know, since China is like a really huge country, in the middle region of their country, the flow of air is quite low. The flow of wind is quite low. So in for those regions, they have introduced a new technology called low-speed wind turbine, which also runs on low-speed wind, and thus even on the mid region of China is getting renewable energy from the wind source actually. And how they address the grid integration challenges. They have smart grid technology. They have reduced curtailment issues. They have technologies like virtual power plants, where through a piece of computer you can control all the solar panels, home energy systems, and you can also control the grids, which responds to the grid fluctuations. And thus, if there is an interruption in the renewable energy resources, there is no problem in the national grid. And they have ancillary services market through which they are addressing the challenges of grid integration. For reliability and resilience, they have advanced weather forecasting and monitoring system. They have introduced the concepts of microgrids, and they have hardened their grid, which can withstand any kind of natural calamities. They have demand response program like demand response for peak shaving, which is being introduced by SGCC. And they have hybrid renewable energy systems, which is a combination of which might be a combination of solar and wind, or solar and geothermal. So as a result, when one resource is not pretty much available, the other resource can back up in case of generation of electricity. So what are like the best strategies they are practicing? First of all, they are regularly inspecting and maintaining. They have predictive maintenance, which is a condition monitoring, and with the help of data analytics, they are controlling all of their power plants. They are managing their assets. They are also upgrading all of their equipments periodically, and they have a system called digital twin technology, which is a virtual model through which, with the analysis of data, they can actually prevent any kind of problems through future plans by using simulations. Now, if we jump on the operational aspect, we are focusing on the decommissioning issues, community engagement, and workforce training programs. So China has they have a basically mature plan, and they're planning by 2030, like all of the wastes, technological waste that will be being produced from the renewable energy power plants, those will be recycled. And they also have a guideline in their NDRC as well. If you look at this slide, you will see like a lot of institutes, including universities and national organizations as well. They are providing a lot of development and training programs through which China is building their own workforce for renewable energy. When it comes to community engagement, what we found out that most of the companies, when they are erecting a new power plant in any provinces, they are providing a lot of they're involving all the stakeholders, and they are engaging with the community by providing education system, by providing employment, or providing them consultations and everything, through which the stakeholders are not being affected. And when it comes to
2 minutes.
yes, sir, I'll try to finish. And when it comes to like the research and development. China has like national research programs, academic research institutes, innovation hubs, and they are also getting a lot of foreign investments from companies like Vestas, through which they are actually prospering. As I've already mentioned, in R&D sector, China has, for solar, they have concentrated solar power. In wind, they are already a global leader. In hydro, they are also a global leader. So now they're focusing on tidal stream generation and ocean thermal energy conversion. For energy and storage and smart grid, they are also investing a lot so that these issues can be dealt with. So what are the recommendations that Bangladesh can learn from China, from the Chinese success? For example, firstly, we have to acknowledge the fact that China had a rigorous legal system. They had a better institutional capacities. They built themselves state-of-art technologies, and they have effective policies and programs. So Bangladesh, they have a draft renewable energy policy of 2022, which has not yet been passed through legislation. What we expect that draft, if that renewable energy policy is being passed in through legislation, we can actually achieve a lot of issues through that China has achieved in the last 40 years in 2023 as well. And institutions like STREDA should take more actions for implementing legal and administrative supports. There, as we have seen in case of China, there is like no clashes between the interministerial bodies. So we also believe that in Bangladesh, the Department of Land, Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, and Ministry of Finance, they should work together for ensuring renewable energy transition in our country. Since China has also took foreign help from other countries, Bangladesh can also actually tap in this sector. Then they can also we can also ask help from China, Germany, and Finland to unlock our full potential in solar and wind energy sector. And lastly, what we would like to say that China had to went through a lot of trial and error, and it took them like 40 years to become a global champion in renewable energy. We believe, since Bangladesh has a lot of potentials in renewable energy sector, and Bangladesh has like a lot of things to learn from the other countries, especially in China, we believe if we transfer technology, if we learn from their mistakes, if we learn from their own policy implementations, renewable energy transition in Bangladesh by 40% of renewable energy transition by 2041 in Bangladesh is actually possible. Thank you for bearing with me. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mashfiq, for your very lucid and very pointed presentation. Cash, can you just download your presentation from here? Can you just unshare it?
Okay.
Thank you. Let me actually at this stage invite our three distinguished panelists. We have Mr. Wang Wei Kwan and Mr. Qin Hai Yan, and also we have from SEDA, we have our colleague, Mr. Fazlul Haq here. So at this stage, let me invite at first Mr. Wang Wei Kwan, Deputy Secretary General, Chinese Renewable Energy Industries Association, KRIA. We would like to request Mr. Wang to highlight on institutional and the legal supports in renewable energy sector of China and how China develop its institutions and legal system over the year for energy transition during the last 4 decades. So over to you, Mr. Kwan.
好的，谢谢主持人，谢谢主办方。
Thank you very much for inviting me. In order to better deliver my thoughts, I will speak in Chinese. So now I'll share my slides. I have a simple slide to share with you. But it seems like the moderator is not letting me to share the screen. Can anyone help with me? Can you give me the permission to share screen?
Server, can you give the permission
okay.
to...
好了。
Okay.
Okay.
It's not working. Yes.
Yeah, it's ready now.
你们能看到吗？
Can everyone see this? Can everyone see?
Yes, we can.
好的，谢谢邀请啊。
Thank you very much for inviting me. So today I would like to share two parts. The first part is the policy framework of renewable energy in China, and the second part is the possible collaboration recommendations between China and Bangladesh. So I'll try to finish in 10 minutes. Just now, Murphy just shared with us the trajectory of China's renewable energy development from technology projects and all of these different areas. So now I would like to focus on framework and policy. So in terms of the framework, the structure, China's renewable energy development has a long history. Just like we said, we have about 40 years of history in this area. So we started with bioenergy, hydro, solar energy. All of these can be counted as the rural energy development. And there was this special work task force which developed into a bigger energy department. And now it developed into a very important division under the National Energy Administration. So this is about the institution, how we develop from a small task force team into a whole division. So in terms of the policies, we have a few areas covered. First is the law, and the next is plan. And also we have standards and different supporting policies. In terms of the renewable energy development in China, the first thing I would like to mention is our renewable energy law, because this is the most powerful law, the foundational law in China. Under this framework, we have our total volume objective, which sets a total volume goal for us. And the second part is electricity fully connected to the power grid. It stipulates that all power grid companies have a legal obligation to purchase the full amount of renewable energy, which is a very important protective law for us. And also, feed-in tariff is an important policy for us, which plays a very fundamental role in the early stage of our development. So now we see the PV benchmark electricity price adjustment, which also applies to other areas of renewable energy power generation. So it categorizes the distribution into different areas, so class 1, 2, and 3. So with better resources, it will be the pricing will be lower, and this arrangement will help us to balance the pricing. So the price adjustment will be done regularly according to the change of situation. So we can see that in 2011, it was 1.15 kwai, and in 2020 we can see that it dropped, and after 2021 there was no subsidy anymore. So this is a very important policy for us. And the other important mechanism is cost sharing. Cost sharing is an important practice for us because the subsidy in China comes, it works in a way to allow electricity users to share the burden. And also we have special funds. And now I would like to talk about the development plans for renewable energy. We have 5-year plans. Also in the renewable energy development, we have long-term and mid-term development plans. In these plans, we develop our guidelines, our main objectives, main tasks, and our guarantees. So our governments prioritize this area, and the release of this kind of energy, renewable energy plan is a sign to the market that the government really focus on this area, and this will incentivize the industry to develop better. So for the development of any area, standardization is very important. This also applies to renewable energy. We need standards to make sure products, projects, and all the engineerings and all the services can be maintained at a good standard. We need to make sure that all the products, infrastructure, equipment, maintenance, and costs to be at a good and reasonable level. So standard is very important. And we also have economic incentives in addition to law, planning, and standard. So economic incentives is also very important. We have tax exemption.
And for example, the 50% tax break for VAT, and we also have other policies. For example, for the first 3 years, there's no VAT to be taxed, and for the next few years, we also have tax breaks. We also have other relevant policies addressing climate change for pollution prevention and control, and also policy for industrial green manufacturing. These policies are not directly supporting RE, but they are creating favorable environment for RE. For example, these policies for addressing climate change will also lead to the development of renewable energy. And policies for green manufacturing is also related to renewable energy. And all those manufacturing industry is also bringing opportunity for manufacturing equipments for wind power, solar power, etc. And here we also have the China's dual carbon targets, including China's carbon peaking and the carbon neutrality targets, and also the 1+N framework. The entire 1+N framework contains the energy transition as a priority. Well, under such a framework, China's renewable energy still has a lot of room for growth and for high-speed development in near future. Due to time limitation, I'm not going to elaborate on this 1+N framework, and I can share this slide with you in after this meeting. And these are all the details for 1+N framework for decarbonization. And there are other policies for the green economy, including the national plan and national resolution for climate action. And then next, I can share some recommendations on how China and Bangladesh can work together. I still have 2 minutes to cover that. But first of all, we can work together on policy research and study. China's policy formulation undergoes a very long process, including the initial stage, the fast development stage, and also the scaled up and even bigger scaled up development stage. Policy should also adapt to the different stages of development so that policy can work hand in hand with the development of the industry. Otherwise, there will be conflicts and frictions. And then China and Bangladesh can work together on providing training for local people and capacity building. Well, China has accumulated a lot of experience on how to implement these renewable energy products, and in this process, China and Bangladesh can work together on capacity building and training to improve Bangladesh people's capacity and awareness as well as knowledge on renewable energy. And then the two countries can work together on build up projects together, run feasibility study, but those are based on more actual products. And the opportunity 4 is that in remote areas without access to power, China has a lot of work already conducted, especially in Western China. And we has provided electrification for remote areas. We have this complementary system combining solar power and wind power, or combining wind power and hydropower. And then China and Bangladesh can also build up renewable energy manufacturing industry in local areas, including those solar panels, inverters, wind turbines, etc. And localization can help reduce cost. And 6, China and Bangladesh can work together in green investment and green financing. Well, all those manufacturing and other policies should need to rely on financing and investment. So that's all for my sharing. If you have any questions, I'm available for a discussion, and you can also send email to me. Thank you very much. That's all for me. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Wang. In fact, that is an excellent overview of how China has made success through its policies, institutions, laws, rules, as well as various kinds of technological aspects and standardization. We are quite amazed to see that you also mentioned about the future collaborative areas between China and Bangladesh. So that is also quite helpful, including policy research and study, identifying the gaps, providing training and capacity building, and also conducting feasibility study report, and also green investments and financing. Those are very forward-looking suggestions. Since the policymakers as well as senior government officials are here and will join, they will definitely take into account of your suggestions. So once again, thank you for your very elaborate intervention in this session. Now at this stage, let me invite Mr. Qin Haiyan, Secretary General, China Wind Energy Association. So we have requested Mr. Qin to focus on financial support investments and overcoming technological challenge in the renewable energy sector of China. So Mr. Qin, over to you. Mr. Qin, can you hear me?
I
will try reaching out to Mr. Qin.
Mr. Qin, can you hear me?
It seems that there is something wrong with him. I will contact him now.
Okay.
Wait me a moment.
Yes, please. Mr. Qin, we can't hear you well. It's interrupting.
Wait, 于老师啊，我听不到秦主任说话，我就能在微信里边能听到。
We are not able to hear Mr. Qin. We can hear him through WeChat, but we cannot hear Mr. Qin on this Zoom meeting. We cannot hear the audio of Mr. Qin.
好的，好的。
我在那个发言文里，53位者。
Yeah, hello. I called the assistant of.
下次不能这样干。
哎，现在好了，
听得到我的
OK，
发言吗？
Yes, Mr. Kin, we can see you. Can you have two line? Can you drop one line? It is creating echo. It is creating echo. Yes, now it's fine, I think.
现在看得到我吗？
It's echoing. One line.
还没关上。
You have opened two line.
现在可以了吗？
Yes, it's clear. It's clear now, Mr.
现在
Kin.
可以吗？翻译听得到我的说话吗？
现在可以了，
又不行了，
现在可以听到了，谢谢。
听得到吗？刚才那个听到，你怎么又不行了呢？
哎，
秦
秦主任，
现在我们
我可以
能够
听到了。
您讲话的。
不是，你刚才又没连到那个什么上啊？
哎，能听到，
一连到我
听不到我们了吗？
把你声音开出来就行了。你这声音怎么开？你把你声音开出来就可以了。
Mr. Kin, we can hear
那
you.
个声音应该能听得到了。这个声音没有问题，就是你那个
I think he can't hear
外放的声
us.
音。
听得到吗？
可以听到，可以听到，您能听到我们
秦主任
的反馈吗？，
我们能听到你说话，
现在可以了吗？
可以呀。
好，不好意思啊。So we can start now.
Yes, please. Yes. Mr. Kin Haiyan, so over to you. So we are requesting you to actually focus on financial support, investments, and overcoming challenges in the renewable energy sector of China. Please go ahead.
All
right. I'm really happy to join this dialogue. And I feel that this kind of a dialogue can really help promote the development of renewable energy in both China and Bangladesh. And just like Mr. Wang Weiquan said, well, China in the past 20 or 30 years have made great progress in terms of RE. And I can say that globally and in China and in Bangladesh, different countries are in different stages. Some of China's experience can apply to Bangladesh, but not for every piece of experience. Well, in the past 2 to 3 decades, the most success of China in renewable energy lies in that we are making a very expensive form of energy source to the cheapest type of energy globally. 10 years ago, in year about 2009 and 2010, the LCE cost for solar power is about 1 RMB per kilowatt hour. But now in Xinjiang and in Mongolia, actually the wind power is only 0.15 to 0.2 RMB per kilowatt hour. So the cost has been lowered to a very large extent. So renewable energy is at the moment the cheapest form of energy. And in the future, with technological advancement, the cost will continue to drop. And by 2025, wind power, especially in Xinjiang and in Mongolia, the LCE cost might be as low as 0.1 RMB per kilowatt hour. But for South China and Eastern China, the cost might be 0.2 RMB per kilowatt hour. And China's offshore wind power within 100 kilometers offshore can reach a cost about 0.3 RMB per kilowatt hour. And then for even remoter areas, the cost might be reaching 0.25 RMB per kilowatt hour. But how China make the most expensive form of energy to the cheapest form of energy in just a decade? Well, that is the largest success in China, and it's also China's greatest contribution to the global energy transition? Well, the reasons are China has completed a legal system for that, and we also have the feed-in tariff policy. And this feed-in tariff is a great foundation for investing in energy generation plants. And this feed-in tariff policy is creating great market for renewable energy. Now, China's wind power installation accounts for 40% of global installation, amounting to 400 million kilowatt hours. And in the past 10 years, China's wind power installation accounts for more than 50% globally every year. And this is due to the huge drive of the market. And that is why wind power, PV, and hydropower can be so cheap. If China doesn't have this feed-in tariff, if China doesn't have this great market, then there could never be such a great and quick development of RE in China. And RE could never be even cheaper than fossil fuel energy. And we know that we have this technology lock-in effect for new technology when a new technology was born, because the application environment and the scenario conditions are not ideal, and its cost for this new technology are very high.
So the new energy will be more expensive than the existing ones without policy support. Then the new energy will be in a disadvantaged position in the market. But feed-in tariff makes developing RE profitable, and also the electricity pricing keeps dropping with the technological advancement. So now we have already stopped all the subsidies towards PV, solar panel, solar energy, and wind energy. All of these renewable energies have entered the mainstream energy market to compete with the other energy resources. So this creates a great market to scale up RE development and promote renewable energy technology development. So I think this is the contribution we make to the RE development. So Chinese government's determination and confidence originated from our long-term belief that renewable energy costs will be lower, and it will drop to be lower than the fossil fuel energies. The only thing is that we need to open the door for it, to open the market for it. So since 2005, we released renewable energy law, and we have feed-in tariff policy. And later on, we used over a decade to stop all the subsidies to realize our goals. So in the past 10 to 20 years, the biggest challenge for us, also the main difficulty for us, is to reduce the cost of renewable energies to make it competitive enough comparing with traditional energies. So now we have already realized this goal. For the future, we are facing a different landscape. No matter it is for China or for Bangladesh, we need to think about how to better connect the grids for wind energy and different other energy resources. So this construction of new energy structure is crucial. We need to improve the flexibility of the whole system. For example, we also need to mobilize all the workforces. We need to focus on hydrogen energy. In order to realize carbon neutral, the whole power system has to take the lead. 80% of the power needs to come from PV and wind energy and all of these volatility of energy. So all the capacity needs to be really high, but this also means that there will be redundancy in the system. Our capacity has to be higher than the actual need. So how we need to use this energy in an efficient way will be a big challenge for us. Now, many countries are thinking about this. So a lot of countries are working on turning electricity into hydrogen, and then we combine it with carbon oxide and other liquid energy to help decarbonize other industries, for example, aviation, sailing, and other industries. Maybe we can take advantage of hydrogen. So in the future, what we need to work on is how to use this low-cost electricity in an efficient way. So lastly, I have a few recommendations for Bangladesh. So the first one is that we need to get a clear understanding of how much renewable energy we have in each area. For example, how much wind energy capacity do we have? How much PV energy capacity do we have? And also land use is very important, which will determine the scale of Bangladeshi renewable energy development. So if you put them in good use, PV and wind would really produce low-cost energy. So, and also the installation and the capacity of the whole system need to meet the demand. So how to build up a balanced, new, modern energy system that can match the volatility energy use is very important. So how do we combine all of these with the demand side requires a lot of planning beforehand so that we can scale up. And also in conclusion, the most successful experience that comes from China is the feed-in tariff policy and other supporting policies that help create a good market for the use of renewable energy in the early stage. And it turns an expensive energy into a cheap energy. This is the biggest success we have. But in the future, we have different challenges. In the past, we deal with the expensive problem, but in the future, we need to cope with how to use the cheap energy in an efficient way. So how we transform all of these energies, how we use them in a flexible way. These are the systemic issues that we need to tackle. So for Bangladesh, an important thing is to actually do a survey on the energies that you have. And also you need to modularize and modernize your energy support system so that we can make our contribution to the carbon neutral world. This is all I have to share.
Thank you, Mr. Kim Hyan. This is an excellent presentation as well as a good follow-up of the earlier presentation. And we have learned a lot, particularly the financial aspects, and very surprised and impressed to see that how the Chinese renewables getting to be the cheapest source of energy in China. And how did you do that? And you have actually highlighted those aspects, and also which sorts of policies and incentives have made contribution that you also present, and very impressed to hear that now no need to go for provide subsidy to the renewable energy sector. You have already lifted out subsidy, and even then it is the cheapest source of energy there. and very interesting to hear that you are now in another kinds of challenge, that it is overburdened by additional electricity, and how you like to use this redundancy issue, use this redundant energy in alternate sources. And thanks for your suggestions. Particularly, you have suggested that we need to do a survey. Happy to note that here the SREDA colleagues are here. They also share with you that some sorts of surveying is currently ongoing, which is very, very important for foreign investments to understand what sorts of potentials for investments in the renewable energy sector in Bangladesh, in where it is available. So that we understand. And you also suggested to modernize the system. That we also like to know more from China, where are the gaps we have in modernization process, and what sorts of important changes we need to modernize our renewable energy related infrastructure and the value chain. And thank you for your intervention. So with these two presentations, we have ended the panel discussion. Now we would like to open up the floor for questions, comments, and feedback. We are very happy to see that over 90%, now it is 91 participants have joined this discussion session. Very happy to see that they have joined here. So what I would like to request, that those who like to make comments, please raise your hand and can actually make your comment in 1 or 2 minutes. I would like to request Sarwar, those who are the participants, please check that whether they are actually raised hands there, and can include them for their comments. And you also write down in your comment in the chat box as well. Yes, thank you. I'd like to request Mr. Lu Zhang, please go ahead. Mr. Lu Zhang, please go ahead. Can you just unmute yourself, Mr. Lu Zhang? Mr. Lu Zhang, can you unmute your mic? So, since Mr. Lu, can you hear me? I think Mr. Lu and another Shakir Tahiri are from the same area, maybe. Can I request Mr. Shakir Tahiri to intervene now?
Hello.
Yes. Can you just stop one of your connections?
Yes, we're doing that. Hi.
Yes. It's
Hi. Can you hear us?
Yes, we can hear you. Please go ahead.
Hello.
Yes, it's working.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi. I had a few questions. It's wonderful to see the Center for Policy Dialogue have arranged this session and guiding us towards the renewable energy investments and the difficulties we face on how to bring the investment in Bangladesh. I had a question related to Bangladesh recently. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. So I don't know if you heard about the Green Transformation Fund from Bangladesh Bank, which recently had a circular of 5,000 crores to several 32 private banks at a 1% rate, which they plan to refinance for renewable energy. But I've contacted a few banks, but they have no idea, that they haven't started this thing, or even if they refinance it, will be the percentage loan that we can get for solar rooftop developments? Because I'm in that field, and we have a lot of OPEX clients, but we face a lot of difficulties accessing funds. So my question was relating the Green Transformation Fund from Bangladesh Bank, which is supposed to refinance to private banks, and that's about it.
Thank you, Mr. Shakiri. In fact, our second session will be focused on Bangladesh's renewable energy sector and financing part. Could you please wait for a while, because we will discuss these financing issues there as well. Just okay. We are waiting for. Please wait for till that time.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Lu Zhang, is it okay now? Can you hear us, Mr. Lu? Mr. Lu, I can't get you here, though your hand is still raised. Mr. Sarwar, are there anyone in the from the presenter side? Yeah, I found Mr. Yes, okay. Mr. Morshid Millat, please go ahead. Khandakar Morshid Millat, can you hear me? Khandakar Morshid Millat, you have to unmute yourself. Yes, please go ahead. Khandakar Morshid Millat, we can't hear you. Yeah, again, it's muted. Sarwar, what happened? No, but the same problem happened to everyone. Mr. Lu is still raised hand, but I can't get him. Is there any technical issue there? Okay, Khandakar Morshid, we can't hear you. Khandakar Morshid, we have seen that you have several times muted and unmuted. Yes, now I think we can hear you.
You can hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Okay, thank you. Thank you for giving me the floor, and thank you, CBD, for organizing such an important agenda discussion. Actually, I would like to answer to the question, but you said that in the second session, the Green Transformation Fund from Bangladesh Bank. So,
Please go ahead. Please go ahead.
okay. In the Green Transformation Fund, there are 200 million US dollar and 200 million euro for GTF. But since the foreign exchange turmoil now, we have issued the 5,000 BDT that was raised by the questioner, that it is not contributing to renewable energy sector. In fact, this GTF is applicable to all the exporters of all the export oriented industries to bring environment friendly machineries or green machineries import. So it is also allowed in BDT 5,000 taka crore taka as well, and also 200 million US dollar and 200 million euro. But the problem is that there is no bar that how much limit is there. The limit is very much open. The question is that bank will go for financing, and they will go for applying for refinancing from the Bangladesh bank if it is a term loan in nature. So certainly the beneficiaries who is going to ask these questions, he has got every freedom to explore this opportunity from the what I could say, the selective banks, those who are tied up in the agreement with Bangladesh Bank. There are as many as around 40 banks are tied up in the agreement, and they can avail for their exporters or the beneficiaries for all the green machineries belong to renewable energy, resource efficiency, and all other seven category. So renewable energy is the priority sector, and it is very much open. The banks are ready to finance. There is no bar, there is no obstacles, and Bangladesh Bank is very much passionate to facilitate those beneficiaries through the banks. So it is very much open. Probably there could be an information gap, but that has to be that is very much at actual it is requirement. There is no limit. There is no limit for renewable energy facilitation. It is at actual at this point of time. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Khandakar Morshid Millat, for this very important timely intervention, and we learned a lot through this. And also, I think the queries have been properly replied. So, Sarwar, are there anyone? I still see Mr. Lu's hands there, though I couldn't actually reach him. So if not, then we will actually close this open discussion now. And we will soon go for the second session. But this first session actually provide briefly about what sorts of policies, institutions, and operational measures and technologies have made the success in China in the renewable energy sector, not in solar PV, but in wind, but also in the mix of hybrid nature of technologies. Those we have learned a lot. And over a couple of decades, how China has made such a success. And at the end, we also heard that they are now overwhelmed with these very cheap energies, which they are now actually considering to convert into alternate form of energy. So we are very impressed to know about such a success and impressed to know the potential of the renewable energy. So we like to learn more and from China, and we like to get the knowledge, technologies, and institutional and other support through local institutions who are working on the renewable energy sector in Bangladesh. So thank you for all of you to participate in the first session. Now I like to request to keep with us for the second session. In the second session, we will fully focus on the Bangladesh market. And the title of the second session is Opportunities and Challenges for Chinese Overseas Investment in Bangladesh's Renewable Energy Sector. Though it is mentioned about the overseas investments, but basically it not only the presentation is not focusing on the renewable energy, but also focusing on the overall foreign investments, the overseas investment related challenges that is also highlighted in the presentation. So at this stage, let me invite Mr. Mashfiq Ahsan Ridoy, Research Associate CPD, to once again to make his presentation in 15 to 20 minutes. Mashfiq, over to you.
Sir, am I clearly audible and visible?
Yes.
Okay. Let me share the screen.
Morshid bhai, you can down your hand, maybe. Thank you. Mr. Lua as well, you may down your hand.
Is my screen visible?
Yes, please go ahead.
Ladies and gentlemen and honorable guests, welcome back again. Welcome to the second session. The second session is about the opportunities and challenges for overseas investment in the renewable energy sector of Bangladesh. So what we focused on here is, firstly, we looked what are like the prerequisites for attracting FDI. Then what are like the overview, then the overview of overseas investment or FDI in power and energy sector of Bangladesh, as well as in the renewable energy sector of Bangladesh. Then like what are the FDI related policies of Bangladesh, what is like the structure of foreign investment, what is the eligibility criteria for foreign financing, what are the facilities or incentives that the investors might get, what are like the challenges to attract FDI in the RE sector of Bangladesh, and on the later part we focused on what are the financial practices for implementing RE and what are like the sustainable finance instruments which is being practiced in Bangladesh, and lastly we made some recommendations as well. So as we all know, Bangladesh is planning to achieve 30% renewable energy in the total energy mix by 2030 and 40% by 2041. At present, barely 1200 megawatt of electricity is generated from renewable energy source, which is basically less than 4.5%. But even only 825 megawatt of this goes to the national grid. So there is like a lot of investment taking place in the power sector of Bangladesh, both from the public and private sector, but the amount being invested in renewable is really low. In the last 13 years, Bangladesh power sector has fetched 30 billion USD dollars, but unfortunately, most of this has been allocated for gas exploration and establishing new fossil fuel based power plants. And even though the renewable energy policy of 2008 dictates to provide financial incentives for the investors, but it is actually often not being practiced. And so the overall reason for all this is Bangladesh has a lot of financial challenges in the renewable energy sector. So firstly, what we focused on is what was our analytical framework, that is based on which and why Bangladesh is facing problems for getting FDI. So the prerequisites of FDI. So first of all, there should be a stable political environment, which means the host state's track record should be good, and they must have a stable political and regulations, and they shouldn't be hostile towards foreign investors. They should also have a clear and consistent regulatory framework, which means they must have a multi-year plans and provisions for protecting investment, and the permitting and licensing system should be streamlined. Investor-friendly incentives like reduced corporate income tax, tax holidays, and currency exchange guarantees must also be ensured. In terms of infrastructure, transmission line and distribution systems should be up to the mark, and there should obviously be a good skilled workforce. Rather than not only focusing on the engineers, there should also be experts in environmental science and sustainability, and there should also be energy auditors as well. Political risk measures should be taken. Political risk insurance measures should also be taken, and the investors must have the access to international courts, so for any kind of arbitrary issues, and they must have a currency stabilization measures as well. Technical expertise, knowledge sharing, joint ventures, these are some kinds of three of the many partnerships and collaboration process which should a host country should actually be open to. And long-term sustainable policies like net metering and energy efficiency standards should also be present. And partnership with export credit agencies, green bonds, pay-as-you-go schemes, carbon markets, these kinds of financial schemes should be present to attract investment in a country. So now if we look at the overview of the overseas investment in the power and energy sector of Bangladesh, we'll see that the net FDI inflow in last year was almost 3,500 million USD, which actually increased by almost 21% compared to the last year. In the power and energy sector, in the power and energy sector, it was 854.2 million USD, which was 25% of the total net in FDI inflow of the same year. But the majority of the share went to the power sector, whereas almost 40% went to the energy sector as well. The top 5 countries which is investing in the power and energy sector of Bangladesh are UK, Hong Kong, the Netherlands, the USA, and the China. And if we focus on what are the sectors these countries mostly invest on, USA mostly invests on gas and petroleum, whereas China invests mostly on power sector of Bangladesh. If we focus on exactly in which renewable energy projects Bangladesh has currently FDI on, so as per BPDP's latest monthly report up to Q3, among the current running renewable energy power plants, 3 of them is government funded, 4 is domestic private investment, and 3 is foreign investment and 3 of them is being established with foreign investment grant or loans, and 3 is of joint ventures. And if we look at some of the key projects, one from the foreign investment or loans, we'll see that there is a 60 megawatt wind power project at Cox's Bazar, which is almost 116 million USD budget. There is a Sonagaji 50 megawatt solar power plant, which is being financed with the loan of World Bank. Then at Tetulia, there is a joint venture between Beximco and Jiangsu Zhongtian Technology Corporation Limited, which is a solar park as well. And we also have foreign investment from HKGE Consortium in Dharampasha, Sunamganj for solar power plant as well, which is like almost 100 million USD. So what are like the FDI policies, FDI related policies in Bangladesh? So first of all, the biggest one we have is the Foreign Private Investment Promotion and Protection Act of 1980, which provides certain protection from indemnification, expropriation, and nationalization, and allows for repatriation of investment. And it also deals with any kinds of difficulties or hassles a foreign investor might face in Bangladesh. This act also ensures that the foreign investors receives fair and equitable treatment, and they receive all kinds of protection and security in the land of Bangladesh as well. Then we also have Bangladesh Export Processing Zones Authority, or BEPZA Act of 1980 as well, where they have stipulated that the EPZ will be controlled by BEPZA, and BEPZA Act also ensures that to attract investors in the EPZ area, they are providing incentives like tax holidays, custom duty exemptions on import and export, and repatriation of profits and dividends without restrictions. As per our latest knowledge, we came to know that BEPZA is also implementing these financial incentives to the renewable energy investors as well. Then Bangladesh also has Bangladesh Economic Zones Act of 2010, which outlines the procedures for establishing economic zone and specifies the authorities for responsible for managing the economic zone. Why Bangladesh Economic Zone is FDI related is because since Bangladesh has like a lot of untapped economic zones yet to be explored, these zones have like a big potential to attract FDI as well. Then lastly, we have the Companies Act of 1994, which sets out the procedures and requirements for incorporation of different types of companies, maybe public, private, or a joint venture. So like what kind of structure of foreign investment in Bangladesh is being practiced? What we found out that basically there are 5 kinds of FDI. FDI is being there are kind of 5 kind of practices being practiced in Bangladesh. So first of all, we have foreign direct investment, which was 2.89 billion USD in 2021. We also have wholly owned subsidiaries. I also talked about joint ventures where foreign investors typically collaborate with the local partners. Then there in Bangladesh, we also give the opportunity to set up a branch or liaison office, but for which they would need approval of BIDA, and such offices are expected to pay a remittance of 50,000 US dollar within 2 months from the date of establishment. And besides, Bangladesh has provides also the opportunity to participate in an existing Bangladeshi company by purchasing shares as well, for which the permission should be taken from the foreign investment rules of Bangladesh. So what are like the eligibility criteria of investing in Bangladesh? Actually, the criteria for investing in Bangladesh, especially for the foreign bodies, is actually really easy. First of all, you would need a feasibility report, you would need a good project profile, and you should have an EIA report ready. You need authorization from BIDA and Bangladesh Bank. And on the third stage, BIDA will have a scrutiny committee, and they will look after your proposals and everything. All the corporate records of the borrower must be up to the date, and the concerned AD bank through their respective head office will have to submit a consolidated report of foreign loans approved by BIDA or Bangladesh Bank. And last but not the least, financial institution must hold a valid license, which would be issued by Bangladesh Bank as well. So what are like the incentives being provided to the investors in Bangladesh, like the financial incentives? So first of all, we give a big tax holiday, which is like up to 5 to 7 years of corporate tax holidays. The private power companies also enjoy corporate income tax exemption for a period of 15 years. Then there is a tax exemption on royalties, technical know-how, and technical assistant fees. There is tax exemption on foreign loans regarding interest, tax exemption on capital gains, remittances of up to 50% of salaries can be repatriated. There is no restrictions on issuing work permits for the foreign employees. We have repatriation facilities for repatriation for invested capital, profits, and dividends. Then there is an opportunity of reinvestment of remittance dividends. And another thing is an investor can easily wind up their business within a span of few days through a decision of AGM as well. So what are like the major challenges for attracting FDI in Bangladesh? So we categorize the challenges into 4 scale. So if we look at the administrative or operational challenges that Bangladesh is facing, number 1 is like the bureaucratic complexity, and there is always a political unrest, and often we have found before that there is differential treatment with the changes of government, and there is like a lack of administrative coordination among different government bodies. For example, if a power plant company wants to build a wants to invest in a power plant, they would see that since they have to take permission from the Department of Land and Department of Energy as well, they would find they often find that these 2 departments are not aligned with each other. When it comes to the technical difficulties, there is like absence of efficient physical infrastructure and absence of technology infrastructure as well. When it comes to like the legal issues, there is a poor imposition of intellectual property law. There are often corruptions in various aspects of the government, and there is frequent changes in policies on import duties for raw materials, machineries, or equipment. So if the import duties fluctuates a lot, the investors don't find necessary justification to invest here. And there is obviously the lack of professional or sector specific trained manpower and the absence of standardization as well. So what are the financial practices for implementing renewable energy practices? So we found out that the most popular 5 topics, the 5 way are establishment of the financing and settlement center. So it will be a central body where green banks will offer technical assistance, and it will be a central body which will finance all the renewable energy related projects, and they would look after the investment, and they would solve all the issues that might arise from here. Then there is the exemption of tariffs for importing renewable energy equipments. There is a exemption of tariffs for renewable energy investment. These kinds of initiatives are taken significantly to reduce the financial burden on renewable energy projects and facilitate development. We also have we can also implement renewable energy quotas, which is often referred to as renewable energy portfolio standards, which can also be in practice. Then there is a net metering practice. If we look at the countries like China or Vietnam, these countries have already started using net metering. Bangladesh can also actually focus on this issue as well. So like what are the sustainable financial instruments that can be applied in the power energy sector of Bangladesh? First of all, we can obviously use green loans and green deposits. So these are basically like typical loans and deposits, but these are only applied for environmentally conscious individuals and organizations, and only for those projects which has like a clear sustainability goal and which reduces the fossil fuel consumptions, and these are eco-friendly in practices as well. Then there you can imply green guarantees, which is commitments issued by the guarantors such as bank or financing institution to ensure that a project or transaction complies with specific environmental or sustainability criteria. Then we can also apply sustainable supply chain financing, which often involves collaboration between buyers and their suppliers to promote responsible and sustainable practice through their total supply chain. And it also helps suppliers, including those providing components for renewable energy projects, to access affordable financing as well. We can provide green bonds and blue bonds. So blue bonds are mostly focused on the marine resources. So tidal energy technologies can actually be developed with the help of blue bonds. And green bonds could be like the green bonds are the ones where investors often benefit from the assurance that their investments are aligned with their sustainability goals while still receiving competitive returns as well. Then lastly, we can apply social bonds. So it is a type of a social, so this is basically a green bond with a social level, where when a green project or renewable energy project is being erected somewhere, the local stakeholders should have affordable housing, education, healthcare, and employment opportunities. And these things could be provided with the help of social bonds. So lastly, what we'd like to focus on, like, what are the recommendations to increase FDI in Bangladesh? So first of all, what often the foreign investors don't like about the Bangladeshi projects is like our project profile is often not complete, and thus the big MNCs like Vestas or Siemens, since they require detailed project profiles to attract investment from these kinds of MNCs, our project profile should be made according to the global standards, and we should actually approach relevant multinational companies to attract those investment as well. So we should also establish an investment promotion agency other than the board of investment we have currently right now. And BIDA, Bangladesh Investment Development Authority, can promote renewable energy investment to attract foreign investment or loans. So apart from their regular works, they might also focus on renewable energy investment as well. So government investment should also be increased. So if a foreign body sees that the government itself is not interested enough to invest in their own country, the foreign entities wouldn't be that much excited to invest in a country. So we should also focus on the government investment as well. And we have seen like China has, with the help of their policy bank, attracted a lot of local investment, and thus, since they had a policy banks, thus with the help of local investment, they eventually attracted foreign entities as well. So, and there should be a functional one-stop investment service centers, which we can find in India and even on China. Then we should improve our infrastructure. For example, a transportation system should be really good to develop a new renewable energy power plant. One of the basic thing we should actually focus on emphasizing on the job training to facilitate technology transfer and employment generation. So if we transfer technologies, but we don't have enough manpower to run those technologies, there is no point of importing those things. So before technology transfer, there should be a job training facilities, and employment should be ensured for those people who would run those new technology. And last but not the least, we should attract cluster-based investment to upgrade the SME clusters. Bangladesh has 177 SME clusters, and upgrading SME clusters can stimulate economic growth by enhancing the productivity and competitiveness of the business. And it often leads to exchange of knowledge, best practices, and technology among businesses within the cluster. So if we attract investment in the SME clusters, not only the businesses of the regular SME clusters would develop, but the renewable energy business as a whole would also develop, and all these business would help each other, and thus the SME clusters of Bangladesh would also be developed. And attracting FDI into the backward and forward linkage industries, including testing laboratories, common facility centers, or industrial park, should also be focused on, which means that there should be a lot of sectors for a foreign investor to invest in Bangladesh. That's my presentation. Thanks for bearing with me. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Mr. Mashfiq. Can you just down your presentation from share? Yes. Yes, I think from Mashfiq's presentation, we get an overview of major aspects of foreign direct investments and the challenges and the incentive structure and the financing opportunities in Bangladesh. Not so much on the renewable energy part, but in general, we learned a lot. But we will definitely get a better understanding about the opportunity challenges from our distinguished panelists who have made investments in Bangladesh. So we will come to them a little bit later. At this moment, I like to mention that one of our honorable special guests, Ms. Wasika Aisha Khan, Honorable MP, Honorable Chair, Parliament Standing Committee on Ministry of Power, Energy and Mineral Resources, has joined with us. Thank you, Appa, for joining with us in this online discussion, despite having your much busy schedule nowadays. Thank you for making time for joining today.
You're most welcome.
Thank you. So, Appa, we will come to you at a later stage. So now we will go for the panel discussion for the second session. So in the panel discussion, we have two distinguished panelists, Mr. Pen Gang and Mr. Ronghai. Both are well aware about Bangladesh's energy sector investments and challenges and the opportunities. So we like to hear in detail from them. So let me at first request Mr. Pen Gang, Managing Director, Chind Solar Bangladesh Company Limited. We like to hear from him the experience of Chinese investment in Bangladesh and the challenges in the renewable energy development here. So over to you, Mr. Pen Gang.
Thank you for the invitation. I'd like to share before我的那个 presentation 是中文，等一下。
I will be presenting in Chinese. Our interpreters will translate into English. And before I start, let me share a video. Could you please give me the right to share my screen?
Sarwar, can you allow to share the video? Yes, I think you can share it now.
Okay, just 1 minute.
Now can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see the screen.
Okay.
Blue Planet, Habitat for Humanity.
Can you see and listen?
The long road of world industrial development. Grab and rely on non-renewable fossil energy. Aggravate resource shortage and environmental pollution. There are many contradictions among economy, ecology, and energy. Therefore, energy revolution is on the horizon. Fusion Star, the source of energy. Bring in the limitless dawn of energy future. Chint has been exploring the essentials of clean energy, injecting blue momentum into the energy revolution. Desert PV, complementary power station. Agriculture PV, complementary power station. Fishery PV, complementary power station. Offshore floating PV power station. Empower energy and ecology co-prosper. China, the Netherlands, Italy, Bulgaria, the United States, Australia, Egypt, Vietnam, Korea, Japan. More than 500 Chint Sun City are all over the world. Output of clean electricity and explore the way of harmonious coexistence between industrial development and ecology. Chint has now served more than 140 countries and regions around the world, developing cooperation with 80% countries along the Belt and Road to help the planet develop and prosper. From the huge demands for electrical apparatus in China's infrastructure to the differentiated demand of power grid in various countries. Chint has been working with its global business partners to grouting and tilling for industrial Internet of Things and energy Internet of Things, enabling from European and American leading-edge R&D and helping for global advanced capacity, industrial control and automation solutions to achieve industrial brain, photovoltaic power station with power equipment to open up the pulse of electric power development. Key projects land in implementation to witness power interconnection, implementation with new technologies and energy power. The new energy era has begun. Smart power, intelligent energy efficiency, smart city, smart living. Chint, in the name of smart energy. Innovates energy application scene, enlightenment for the future of energy.
All right, thank you very much for your patience. Now I'm going to share my slides. And I have 3 parts for sharing. First of all, introduction to our group, and then introduction to our Bangladesh branch, and then some experience sharing and also sharing some of our challenges. First of all, introduction on our company. Well, just now through the video, you have a quick glimpse of our company. For our company, Chint, we were established in 1984, a provider for smart energy system. In the past 39 years, we have leveraged on our full industrial chain advantage, captured opportunities, and focused on green and the energy industry, focus on smart electrification and low carbon industry. We have 40,000 employees worldwide. And Zhengtai Dianqi is the first A-listed company in China focusing on low voltage apparatus. And in our business, we have 3 sectors, including the green energy, smart electrification, and also intelligent low carbon industry. These are the 3 main sectors we are engaged in. And for our group, we are engaged in clean energy generation, distribution, transmission, and also the sales of electricity. In the past years, we are now ranking number 1 in 2021 China Enterprise Social Responsibility. And in year 2023, we are listed in the China 500 companies. And we're also among the top 100 company in strategic emerging industry in China. And the revenue of our group in 2022 reached 123.7 billion RMB, growing 16% year on year. And for our group, our manufacturing base are in Hangzhou, Wenzhou, Shanghai, Singapore, Thailand, Vietnam, Malaysia, Cambodia, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, and Uganda, and other countries along the Belt and Road. We have sales offices and logistic bases in more than 140 countries and regions. For Chint Group, in our green energy sector, which started in year 2006 when we started our business in PV and new energy. Now we already have a full industrial chain capacity, including the sliding battery components as well as the power station. And we are now offering a comprehensive energy solution composing PV station, energy storage, power distribution, thermal electricity, and complementary forms of energy. The total installation surpassed 11 gigawatts. And we are operating and maintaining 18 gigawatts of installation, serving more than 1 million households. In year 2022, the PV components production scale surpassed 20 gigawatts, and the revenue in this sector is about 35.4 billion RMB. Now I will introduce Chint's Bangladesh company. So Chint Solar Bangladesh is a wholly owned company of Chint New Energy and was established in June 2021. And the main business is solar power plant development, investment, and construction. Now we have successfully executed 1.5 megawatt, and the total submitted capacity is 360 megawatts, and CCGP meeting approved 100 megawatts of them. Now let's have a look at our experience in Bangladesh. Well, we have established our Bangladesh company for 2 years. We are still new to the Bangladesh market, but in the past 2 years, we still accumulated a few experiences. For example, we have our localization strategy. We leveraged our decision-making flexibility, and we also leveraged the local team from Bangladesh because they are more familiar with the local processes and the procedures. And then the other experience is land come first. Change start from land due diligence in the initial stage. Law firm will be employed to check and screen invalid projects and ensure compliance. Well, we contacted the local agencies to conduct a feasibility study locally. And we understand from this process that land always comes the first. And then the other experience is we need a very important guarantee from international teams and appropriate capital input. For Chinese companies or for overseas companies, they have a habit of not willing to invest too heavily in the initial stage for the development. A lot of people or companies are employing local agents for development. However, as a developer, if we input and invest money appropriately, then that will kick off the project in the right foot. But that's also very important. And the other experience is persistence to long-termism and focus. In Bangladesh, there are a lot of companies and enterprises that are dominated by Chinese teams for marketing development. And a lot of times, these Chinese teams are dispatched from China to Bangladesh. However, they are not in Bangladesh for the long run because they will travel from Bangladesh to the other countries. But what matters most is we should have somebody always present in Bangladesh. We should persist in the Bangladesh market. Well, within a year, it's hard to have visible and palpable achievement. We should be prepared that we are only to see progress in 2 years or even 3 years or even in longer terms. We should be prepared for that and always have a mindset of long-termism. And in our actual projects, there are some challenges. First of all, we have challenges related to land. In Bangladesh, it's a country covering an area of 140,000 square kilometers. So we are facing the scarcity of land resources and extremely complicated land ownership. So both purchase or leasing can be very time-consuming, and it's a huge pain in the neck. And then because there are alluvial plain in Bangladesh, so there will be seasonal floods in Bangladesh, so leading to very high cost for civil engineering and construction. The other challenge is in finance. Well, there are some bankability issue. Well, the key clauses of a PPA and the IA is not allowed to be changed. That makes all of our projects financing so difficult to close. And there is a 50 megawatt project. We have already acquired the ROI. However, the international banks feel very difficult to set up this guarantee letter. We have approached many banks, including Standard Chartered and the ICBC in China. We contacted a lot of banks, but none of them are willing to issue guarantee letter for this project because it's not changeable. So we're still trying to find a way to surpass that. And then there are other challenges, including the foreign reserves and the depreciation of the local currency. Well, this issue has already raised a lot of concerns for the stakeholders, and it's going to lead to huge problem for project financing and the future ROI. And this is also leading to the downgrade of rating for this country.
还有其他相关的，比如说这个官僚主义，这个这个国家的开发过程。
And also, the bureaucracy is a big issue. The government has a very obscure procedure and is usually not very efficient in terms of government approvals. And also there's this delayed bill payment issue, but we know that people are working very hard to solve this problem. And also there is this lack of competent resources problem. We know that there are some workforce, but there is a lack of professional talents. And also the industrial chain is incomplete. All of these would have a negative impact on project development and implementation. So this is an overview of Chen's experience in Bangladesh in the past few years. Thank you very much for giving us this chance to share our thoughts with all of you. So this is all I have to share.
Mr. Pengang, excellent intervention. We impressed to see the video at first, and then we through your presentation we learned a lot that how do you actually prioritize various kinds of issues for investing in Bangladesh, and very impressed to learn that you have a policy, land first policy, very interesting, land comes first policy. So very impressed to hear of that. And also you have mentioned about what sorts of challenges you confronted in case of investing in Bangladesh, bureaucratic challenges, obscure procedural payment issues you mentioned, financing related part, Bangladesh's recent downgrading in the global credit rating have also be an issue, but what we found that you have still be positive regarding the opportunities and the potentials in Bangladesh, and very happy to know that you have a very comprehensive service package from generation, transmission, and the distribution. So what that kinds of investments will help and facilitate developing our renewable energy value chain in Bangladesh. So thank you for your intervention. Now let me actually invite another important person, Mr. Rong Hai, Chief Representative, Southwest Electric Power Design Institute Company Limited, Bangladesh branch. So we like to hear from you what are the prerequisites for attracting renewable energy investments in Bangladesh? So how could Bangladesh make a success in terms of attracting Chinese investments in the renewable energy sector? So over to you. Mr. Rong.
好的，大家好，可以听到我的麦克风声音吗？
Can everyone hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. We can hear you, Mr. Rong.
OK， 好的，首先感谢。
Okay, first of all, thank you very much for CPD to organize this meeting. And before this, a lot of experts have already shared their insightful points. So now I will share from a different perspective about some experience of PV project development in Bangladesh. So first of all, I would like to share the structural condition, energy structure condition in Bangladesh. So this is a Bangladesh energy structure by 2022. We can see that with a few years of development, PV is taking about 5% of the whole energy structure in Bangladesh. So with the Bangladesh solar energy development roadmap, we can see that by 2041, the proportion of PV can reach at least 40%. So now I would like to talk about a development mode. We have mainly three development models: PPP, IPP, and GOB. So now IPP is the mainstream mode. So this includes a chain of process from the submission of proposal to our kickoff of construction. During the development process, I think in terms of light energy, solar energy, land rights, and also the climate situation are the main areas that we focus on. In the later introduction, I will share some of my ideas. So the third part I would like to mention is the opportunities of PV project development in Bangladesh. First of all, I would like to mention the solar resources in Bangladesh, sorry. So we can see from this map, from green to red, it represents that the annual radiation rate is increasing. So from the northwest increases towards the southeast. The southeast area has the best radiation solar energy resource. So it can at best it can reach 100 kilowatt hour per square meters. So these can reach a categorization of A level, which means that we have very good solar energy resource in Bangladesh. And also, I would like to talk about the investment environment. In the past few years, Bangladesh has a good GDP increase, a stable political situation, and a stable society condition, and also tax break and policy supports the tax reduction in terms of equipment importation. All of these are very beneficial for us. And also, the generators can sign long-term PPA with the government. The government would also produce guarantee. So all of these will lay a very good foundation for us to develop PV projects in Bangladesh. So we have already mentioned there are very good external resources in Bangladesh in terms of solar energy resources and policy support. Now I would like to mention the challenges we face. The first one is land acquisition. We all know that the population density is very high in Bangladesh, and the land ownership is very complicated. For PV development, large land acquisition is very important. But just like Mr. Gan from Chind has introduced, land acquisition requires a lot of capital investment and it takes a lot of time. Before we have experienced some congestion in terms of investment due to the acquisition of land. So the whole project was delayed, and also the cost was increased. And in some areas with a good amount of land, we face this risk of flood. And also there is high cost of land process, because in Bangladesh we need to face a risk of flood. In a lot of areas are like bay areas or riverside areas. So this geographical condition might increase our project cost. It's very hard to reduce our project cost. For the same kind of project in other countries, the land process cost might only take 5% to 10% of the whole project cost, but for Bangladesh, this might take up about 30 to 35% cost. And also the grid stability is still not very good in Bangladesh. Of course, we can see it's advancing, but for the huge increasing demand in Bangladesh, the grid stability is not matching up. So for PV projects, like in the urban areas, even though they might have better grid infrastructure, but because of the population density, it's very hard for us to build transformation stations. So this is still a very big problem for us. And also in some more remote areas, the generators, the transformation stations capacity is limited, so it's very hard to connect with them. And also, the land suitable for PV development in Bangladesh located mainly in northwest and the south, and some of these locations are far away from our main hub of power grid. So, and also there are some land disputes which might result in delays in project constructions. And also there are a lot of rivers in Bangladesh, as you can see from the map. The whole western area is divided by our main river channels. So delivering power will have to cross the rivers, which will increase our cost and increase difficulty of our technology application. In addition, the construction of our power grid is oriented by the power source, like the source of the power. But in the past, this kind of employment can meet the demand, but now if we are carrying out big projects, it would be hard for us to find a good connection point. So this would increase the risk of our projects, and it would be hard for us to estimate the feasibility of these projects. This will also limit the scale of our project development in the west and in the south. So based on these challenges, we also have a few recommendations that I would like to share. First of all, we think the government should play the role in planning and guiding. So the Bangladeshi government can work with consulting firms to have a centralized plan of grid system in the potential energy base or some dense power sources locations. We can also consider using distributed and small capacity new energy construction plan to cope with our urgent demand. we can use low to medium volt grid to deal with our most urgent power demand. We all know that there are different projects carried out in Bangladesh. We can allocate some of these project resources and capacity to build small to medium-sized grids to incentivize different enterprises. And also, we think that the industrial park can be built in a more efficient way. The government can integrate the lands, and also they can raise funds. The government does not need to directly produce the funds or provide the funds, but it can be the organizer to collect funds from different parties. And this will help us to face the reality that new energy development projects usually have a very short construction cycle. The government needs to play an integration role to reduce the investment cost and scale up the projects. And the third point is that we need to make the deployment beforehand and have a better power storage so that we can have a stable delivery. But storage cannot produce direct profit. So we think the government should have a more centralized role to plan beforehand about how we can do the energy storage, and then we can arrange bidding and tendering. So this will help us save resources and reduce costs.
And taking this opportunity, I'd like to introduce Energy China. Energy China is a comprehensive solution provider. We can provide planning, maintenance, operation, financing, as well as development of our projects. In terms of new energy markets in overseas area, we are taking projects in Egypt, UAE, and Saudi Arabia. In Bangladesh, Energy China (CEC) has already executed Pariah to multiply 660 megawatts first phase, and Patuakhali to multiply 660 megawatt projects. And for CEC, we have a comprehensive solution that can provide to Bangladesh market. And we are a national level design and consulting company. And we have completed projects in Yunnan, Guizhou, Sichuan, Chongqing. And we have planned for their electricity development. And we have built connectivity from China to Laos and accumulated great experience in the overseas market. And we are now actively participating in projects in Bangladesh. In the future, we want to leverage our own advantage to have a larger footprint in Bangladesh. Thank you very much. That's what I have to present today. Thank you very much for the invitation and everyone's attention. I believe with the promotion, support from the two governments, and the efforts of everybody, we can help develop the new energy markets in Bangladesh. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Ronghai. I think that is also quite helpful to know that what sorts of challenges you confronted while going for investments in the renewable energy sector. And very pertinently, you mentioned that the land cost is one of the major fixed cost, which in other countries is 5%. In Bangladesh, it is 30 to 35%. That is quite burdensome for an investor to develop land and to go for such a large scale investments here. And you also mentioned about the grid connectivity and the difficulties there. But one positive thing that you mentioned is that annual radiation is increasing. So that is a good potential for higher renewable solar-based energy generation in the country. That we also come to know. And you also provided a good number of suggestions. I think since the policymakers are here and also the senior bureaucrats are also here, definitely they will take note of those suggestions for future to how to make the overseas investments, FDI, foreign direct investment, FDI more smoother for renewable energy sector. Not only generation, but also you have make suggestions of on the transmission side. You have mentioned about the small scale transmission grid system that you have also proposed, which could be feasible for Bangladesh. And once again, thank you for your very timely intervention. At this stage, we will go for an open floor discussion. Sarwar, you here? Let me actually request anyone from the panelists, anyone from the participants, attendees, please raise your hand if you like to intervene or say a few words. Yes, I'm seeing that Mr. Shakir Tahiri has raised hand. Sarwar, can you just link him here? Have you done that, Sarwar? Yes. Yes, Mr. Shakir Tahiri, over to you.
Hi, thank you for giving me the opportunity again. Hi, I'm actually the project development manager for Chin Solar, and we've just seen our managing director provide the presentation.
Okay, good.
And yeah, we actually had a query regarding, after about the terms and condition of Bangladesh Power Development Board. Because once they issue an LOI, we need to present them a bank guarantee. And what happens is in there, the bank guarantee terms and conditions, the internal policy of them, they actually interferes and it differs from what the policy is from the Chinese banks or the international investors we have. And at that time, they really face difficulties on providing us the bank guarantee. And also in terms of FDI, to open a bank account, I mean, it can be done, but the bureaucracy in the process makes it very difficult for them as well. So we wanted to know, we want to move funds here. We want to move the USDs and develop these plants and sell the electricity generated. So how can this terms and condition align with the foreign banks, with their internal policy of them, and also how can it align with the local banks, and how can we make this process a bit easy and so it doesn't delay our project timeline? If you could just help me with this query.
I think if anyone from the banking sector here could take this question and can respond. Otherwise, we have a very basic generic reply, but we like to hear from the participants. Is there anyone from the banking sector who could actually can respond it? Yes, Milad Bhai is already a raised hand. Sarwar, can you just link Milad Bhai? Yes, Milad Bhai, over to you.
Thank you. From the central bank's perspective, what I can say that there could be a better scope if I'll talk about the local bank or the banks in Bangladesh operating business here. It is like a foreign bank in Bangladesh or a scheduled bank of Bangladesh. they can be tied up in a development partner, as a development partner of the investment process. So if they perform as a local partner in the overall investment process, so in that case, can you hear me, please? Do you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, okay.
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Okay, so if a local partner, if a local bank here in Bangladesh, scheduled banks, if they could be tied up in the whole business scenario, then the investment from the broadened part could be easier, because the bureaucracy you are talking about, or some sort of guarantee you are talking about, it could be easier if a local bank could be a part as a development partner in the whole invested project. That could be a possibility to make your life easier than what it is now. That could be a possibility, that could be an option. But if there could be a bank present here, they could have said better. But from my perspective, what I could say, that yes, bank guarantee could be easier if the bank could be a development partner to some ratio in the overall invested project. That could be easier from the operational as well as the legal procedures or the bureaucracy that you face in Bangladesh. That I can say about.
Hello?
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you.
thank you, Morshid Bhai. Thank you for your very pertinent response. Anyone from the floor?
Hello?
Mr. Shakir, we can hear you.
Yes. Actually, we, as per our experience from the, we have contacted a few local bankers. Our Mr. Millat said, we did contact a few local banks, but sometimes they're very unaware of the renewable energy sector, and sometimes they ask us a question like, what is DC and AC, and then they compare it with the fossil fuel power plants.
Wajib bhai, can I
So,
intervene for a minute? Can
Yes.
I intervene? Can I have the floor? I can mention one bank. You can try that bank, the Citibank. The Citibank, Bangladeshi bank. The Citibank is the most passionate in the, and they have got the 3-time awards in the Bangladesh Bank Sustainability Rating Methodology. And you see in the Bangladesh Bank website, the Citibank have owned the as in a continuous process for the 3 times as one of the top 10 banks in the sustainability rating, and they are very much inclined, and they are also heading towards the net zero alliance, and they are very much passionate. And you can try this bank, the Citibank Limited, if the life will be easy. Thank you.
Is it the Citi Group Bank, like the American bank, or the Citibank local one?
No, it's a local bank. The Citibank Limited is a local bank. Head office is in Gulshan.
CITY. CITY.
Okay.
It's CITY, yes.
Just one more query about the Green Transformation Fund that you answered previously, is that you mentioned that the Transformation Fund of the 5,000 crore is for the export-oriented companies. So, and you said it's for the green machineries and for all the other efficient energy resources.
Yes.
Does that include solar panels, inverters, and all the other stuff?
Yes, certainly. Those equipments, those that belong to renewable energy and resource efficiency, all these machineries are involved in this very process, and they will be treated as the green machinery. So those things are available.
Okay, thank you. Just one more query relating to the Green Transformation Fund. What if some clients who have export limitations, who are not fully export oriented, they have like a very less amount of exports, or they don't have exports? What will happen in case of them? How will we, like, when we are providing the proposal to them, we're always considering 1% duty on capital machinery as they're export oriented. But if you consider the duty of the components for the solar panels, inverters, the cable trays, all of them, they're like differs. Like solar panels are around 10% at the moment, as far as I know, from the last 2022, and inverters are 37%, which is approximately very high at the moment. So how can these duties and the customs regulations be eased, and what are the processes relating to them? Because as renewables, it should be like, as we know, in the other countries, we're getting subsidies in other countries, in China, as you can see, in India. I mean, we should learn from our neighbors to at least reduce that to 0%, and don't give a subsidy, at least reduce that customs duty so that we can be very competitive in this market. And in that value chain, we can also reduce the LCOE, the levelized cost of electricity would be reduced. Also, the per watt peak installation cost and the EPC procurement will be reduced as well. So any thoughts on that, sir, please?
Actually, you have got two parts in whole your conversation. Is that first of all, the 200 million euro that have got the scope for the DIM exporters, that who are not 100% export oriented, but to some extent they can facilitate the main exporters. So there is a flexibility in the euro 200 million euro. That is the possibilities there. Now the second part is that the duty, it is completely with the NBR, National Board of Revenue. The import duties on those inverters or your solar panels, they need to be reduced, because in the Bangladesh bank's attitude is very positive. They have got the low cost funding provisions at the rate of 5%, or the what I could say, the in the exchange rate, they are opening up with the BDT 5,000 Vs around. In Bangladeshi Taka, it's 5% rate of interest. But in the rest, the main part is lying with the National Board of Revenue. If they can flexible to import on those duties of those materials, imported materials, then it could be a fantastic for the for this sector. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Morshid Bhai. I think Mr. Shakir can
Thank you so much for your
separately with Mr. Morshid Millat, who is a very knowledgeable guy at this moment. I know that Mr. Khandakar Morshid Millat is with BIBM, I think. So you can talk to him separately as well.
Yes, please.
And thank you for your exchange. But one thing that I like to hear from both the panelists is that, how do you see the potentiality? Now, of course, there are challenges and we need to address that. Regarding the wind and solar potentiality, how do you see it, that in terms of making investments and doing profit, and also thereby at a cheaper competitive rate, will it be possible in Bangladesh? My question to Pen Gang and Mr. Ronghai. Anyone can pick. Mr. Rong, could you reply that? How do you see the potentiality or a business viability in terms of renewable energy investments at a large scale? Mr. Pen?
Yes. Would you please repeat your question?
Yeah, my question to both of you, Mr. Peng and Mr. Rong, is that how do you see the business viability in the future in the renewable energy sector of Bangladesh? How much it would be profitable, as well as it would be the cheaper source of energy in Bangladesh?
So we're talking about the business viability. Are you talking about the tariff, the higher tariff or lower?
In terms of overall commercial viability of a renewable energy project in Bangladesh.
Oh, I should say, based on our practice in Bangladesh, from development and investment perspective, it is viable and profitable.
Okay.
But if we are talking about the EPC perspective, it might be another story. But for development and investment, for sure, it is viable and profitable.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Pen. Mr. Rong, could you add something? Mr. Rong, would you like to add something?
喂，你好。我这边是这样的，就是从我们现在目前对于
So, from our current understanding of Bangladeshi market, we believe there is a huge potential for PV power generation in Bangladesh, but now we still have a few challenges and difficulties. Just as Mr. Gan has mentioned, land acquisition and connectivity issues. I believe through our government planning and our efforts to build a collaboration, we can, of course, gain profit from our investment. And also, there will be a space for price drop for the electricity. And from what we know now, we know that Bangladesh is in a low-speed wind area, but we believe that with the intervention of big corporations and development, we will have better strategies to deal with that. So we can also leverage the wind energy better in addition to the existing projects and make big breakthroughs. That's all I want to share. Thank you.
Thank you. So with these words, since nobody has raised a hand, so we like to conclude the open discussion. And we are now actually going for the end part of our today's kickoff dialogue. At this stage, let me actually invite our guest of honor, Mr. Mohammad Hussain, Director General Power Division. Would like to hear from him regarding the grid integration, storage, and any other related issues on the renewable energy, how the government is planning to undertake in the future. Over to you, Mr. Mohammad Hussain. Hussain bhai, are you
Yes,
there?
yes.
Yes.
Thank you, Dr. Majum bhai, for giving me the floor. Respected Chair, Mr. Manjuri Elahi, respected Chief Guest, Ms. Wasika Asha Khan MP, Honorable Chairman, Standing Committee on the Ministry of Power, Energy and Mineral Resources, distinguished panelists, participants, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon and assalamu alaikum. At the very outset, let me appreciate the two authors, Dr. Khandakar Ghulam Muazzam and Mr. Mashfiq Hasan Ridai, the young professional, has nicely presented both the papers. Thank you, Ridai. We have also heard from the panelists, from Mr. Wang and Mr. King on the first paper, and then from Mr. Reng Hai on the second paper. Though I couldn't follow, probably maybe it was not facilitated for me. The whole language was in China for the third authors, so I couldn't follow the whole thing. But I have followed from Dr. Muazzam's, in fact, remarks something. I try to highlight on the issue. I have also followed the valued comments of the distinguished participants. Distinguished participant, from the first paper, we have observed that China passed the Renewable Energy Law in 2005, which targets the development of renewable energy. From that perspective, we were not far behind in our initiative. As you know that though we have passed our first renewable energy policy in 2008, but we have initiated the renewable energy, particularly the solar energy in the 90s with the solar home system. That was the demand of the time, as I know that only around 40% of grid has access to electricity. So we tried to facilitate our people who were outside the grid through the solar home system. Then gradually we have developed mini grid system for the isolated areas, and finally, you know that in 21st March 2022, our Honorable Prime Minister, the able daughter of our father of the nation, Sheikh Hasina has declared as 100% access to electricity. But having said that, I am not claiming that we are very much at for China. So what, in fact, difference did it make between this development of renewable energy of China and Bangladesh? If you followed these, the interventions in terms of legal, institutional, even the fiscal incentives, these are more or less at par. But one thing is, in fact, absent, that is the resource constraint. Particularly in the paper of Mr. Wang, Mr. Rang, it has been, in fact, outlined the land cost, land availability, land scarcity is definitely, whether we acknowledge or not, this is the deciding factor for development of the renewable energy. In fact, I had the opportunity to visit China during 2014, particularly on the development of the solar energy. And my experience is that in spite of having their huge land, they have also introduced multiple use of land. I mean, the land is being used for irrigation, agriculture, as well as the solar. That was a breakthrough in our country, and we have tried to do that. So we have learned so many things from China, and the industry is, I mean, this energy industry or solar industry is almost dependent on China in terms of equipment supply, technology supply, as well as the project development. Still, the most of the projects are being developed by somehow or other Chinese companies. And you see, as you said, that like China has advanced a lot in terms of their grid development, grid stability, to integrate the renewable energy, this sort of distributed small solar energy in their country, where we have to do lot many things in the coming days, and we are trying to doing all this. But at least I can say that now our focus is renewable energy. If you follow for the last 1 year's project awarding trend, almost all the projects went for renewable energy. So we have at least appreciated our, you see, the fuel constraint, our future fuel potentiality. We have learned from the Ukraine war. We are learning even now, probably this Israel invasion to Palestine. So we believe that, you see, our own resource will be only the means of our energy security. And that's why, in addition to solar, land-based, grid-tied solar, we have made all other, you see, the initiative like these industries are their roofs are being utilized for solar through net metering guideline. We are also doing some sort of, as I said, that multiple use of land. We have conducted a study. What are the, you see, the products, agricultural products, then can be produced in spite of having our this solar project. That we have identified. Some of our even pilot projects are ongoing. Our own utilities are doing that. We have gone for wind. You know that I'm happy to announce you that we have already inaugurated one wind power plant in the Kurskul of Kaksbajar, nearby our honorable chief guest, and that has given us a lot of confidence In fact, when we have conducted the study of USAID for the wind potential, that was not so much encouraging. And in fact, we have almost left the idea of this enhancing this wind energy. Now, it has given us confidence. We are now also conducting the offshore wind energy. But as far as your question is concerned, that is most important, that we have to prepare our grid for accommodate all these variable renewable energy. We have initiated smart grid implementation. We have conducted a study to gap analysis. Though in a piecemeal basis, we have made some sort of intervention for smart grid, like as a primary control, we have introduced FGMO in the generation. As a secondary control, AGC is being developed in the PCCB. In the distribution, we have introduced SCADA. GIS mapping has been done in most of the utilities. Smart metering has been conducted. So we have analyzed the gap analysis. What do we have and what things remain to be done? So that gap analysis has already been done. Now we are filling up the gaps. We have taken to utilities as a pilot basis. The grid is the most important. So PCCB has been taken up, and one of the important distribution entities, the DPDC, which served the major part of Dhaka city. So these two entities has been taken as a pilot basis for smart grid implementation. We are doing that. Even not only for this variable element energy, even for the nuclear power plant at Tupur, which will be coming by the end of 2024. That has very contingent, you see, very stringent compliance for grid code, like your frequency band, your voltage quality, others. So we are preparing ourselves. If we target the even nuclear, even we don't think about, need to think about this variable emergency, that will automatically come. And though the figure was so pessimistic, and we have been always being criticized for our slow moving of this renewable energy development, but it's now really expediting. Now we have around 1,300 megawatt altogether green and off-grid. And as you know that our another approximately 10,000 megawatt projects are under various stages of implementation. But I know that all of them will not come because of the land challenges, because you know that when we issue a LOI to someone, then they look for securing the land, then they face that they are music. So that is there, but that's why we always consider that if we award 10,000, we consider 5,000 will come from there. So what will we do for the remaining 5,000? That, as you said, that we are continuously relaxing our policies for rooftop solar and others. Recently, you have also relaxed for this rooftop solar as a part of new connection. We have introduced even net metering over there, so that people will see, as seeing is believing. If they can see that they can save, say, 50 units of electricity per month from their 200 units, they will definitely voluntarily go for that, in spite of pressing them to do that. So we are doing all these things. Regarding the foreign investment, rather we whatever model you can talk, we have rather very flexible model of direct negotiation of anyone who shows interest. We never say him no. We rather encourage him to discuss, to negotiate with us. So that is there. And in terms of incentive mechanism, it's not something other than even whatever incentive is for fossil fuel-based project in our private sector power generation policy. It is equally equal for irrespective of whether it is renewable or not. In addition to that, we are trying to add more incentives for this renewable energy. And I know that the financing, the bankers are there, policymakers are there, our honorable chief guest is there. She is, you know that our honorable chief guest, she is a strong patron of renewable energy. She is now the leader of climate parliament. So she is always pressing us what to do more on this renewable energy policy expansion. And the funding, green fund, government's policies there, definitely there will have more financing coming up. Banks have been also advised. I think there will be some bankers who can talk about it. So I believe that the days are coming for renewable energy. I can tell you at least. So the whatever the Chinese investor or Western investors, they're always welcome to invest in our power sector, and we have just opened our door for renewable energy. Rather, other fossil fuel energy projects are very much, you can say, restricted, or it's very selective. I should say, I should not say restricted, very selective, where we have no choice, then we go for that. So thank you very much for giving me the chance to say something. Our honorable chief guest is here. She is very learned, focused. We'll definitely learn something from her. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you, Mr. Mohammad Hussain, Director General Power Cell Power Division. It is always is a learning exercise while we hear from Mr. Mohammad Hussain, because he has a full of knowledge about the so regarding institute. We're happy to know that over the last 1 year, the government has taken various kinds of initiatives which has certainly promote renewable energy sector in the future. So thank you for your very timely intervention at this stage. So we are almost at the end. We are waiting for the Chinese ambassador, Mr. Honorable Mr. Yao Wen. He will join soon, as far as I know. Yes, he's here. Thank you, His Excellency, Mr. Yao Wen, for joining today's discussion on opportunities and challenges for overseas investments in the renewable energy sector of Bangladesh, the case of China. Just to brief you in a minute, is that today we have discussed the Chinese success story regarding the renewable energy sector over the last 4 decades. What sorts of policies, what sorts of institutional measures, what sorts of operational and fiscal financial measures have contributed China's success from a laggard to a leader within 4 decades time. So we learned a lot today's discussion, and you may notice that as many as 80 participants, at some stage it was 90 participants, has joined this discussion, and it indicates that lots of huge interest there regarding investments, overseas investments in Bangladesh in the renewable energy sector. In the second session, we discussed about the challenges for investing in Bangladesh. So we have invited some of the Chinese investors, and they have commented what sorts of potentiality is there and what sorts of challenges are there that need to be removed. But all are very positive that Bangladesh has a huge potentials on wind power, on solar, and other power sector, and they have proposed a number of future collaboration and partnership issues. So at this stage, may I actually request Honorable Mr. Yao Wen to say a few words.
Thank you very much. It's a great honor to be invited to attend this seminar. Actually, it is important related to the renewable energy, which hinges on the future of mankind. And I believe it's both important to China and for Bangladesh if we want to have a sustainable, the development for all of us So there's a lot of lessons we can learn from each other. And I believe China can also share with Bangladesh about what we have achieved. And we can discuss in which way we can work together to meet these challenges and to open a new window for all of us for our better future. First of all, I say, I need to express our gratitude for some honorable guests to attend this seminar. His Excellency Mrs. Wasik Ayesha Khan, MP, Chairman of Parliament Standing Committee on Ministry of Power, Energy and Mineral Resources, and respect Mr. Lokman Hussain Mia, Executive Chairman of the Bangladesh, the BIDA, and also respected Dr. Gokhan Gautam Moazam, Research Director of Center of Policy Dialogue. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it gives me a great honor, pleasure to join with you at this kickoff dialogue titled Opportunities and Challenges for Overseas Investment in the Renewable Energy Sector of Bangladesh, the Case of China. First, on behalf of the China Embassy in Bangladesh, I would like to thank CPD for hosting this event. In the year 2014, President Xi Jinping of China proposed the new energy security strategy. In his support to the 20th CPC National Congress, President Xi Jinping emphasized that China will speed up the planning and development of the system for new energy sources. China has also promised to peak its carbon dioxide emissions by the year 2013 and achieve carbon neutrality by the year 2060. So we can see that China has successfully opened up a new path of energy development with Chinese characteristics. Here, I would like to take this opportunity to share with you a set of statistics. China's total installed capacity of renewable energy has exceeded 1.1 billion kilowatts, an increase of nearly 3 times that of a decade ago, accounting for more than 40% of the country's total installed power generation capacity and more than 30% of the world's total installed capacity of renewable energy. The installed capacity of China's hydropower, wind power, photovoltaic power, biomass power has ranked first in the world for many years. China has become an active participant and important contributor in addressing climate change. Ladies and gentlemen, renewable energy is the key sector of China-Bangladesh economic cooperation. On August 23rd, President Xi Jinping met the Honorable Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina in Johannesburg, South Africa. The two leaders promised that they will further advance high-quality Belt and Road cooperation, give full play to the advances of economic complementary between the two countries, and strengthen cooperation in new energy sector. Mymensingh solar power plant, Cox's Bazar wind power plant, and the Manigan solar power plant constructed by Chinese companies have commenced operation. Silagan solar power plant and West to Energy power plant in North Dhaka, invested by China, are about to start construction. There are also several solar power projects and industrial parks in the pipeline. So the potential of renewable energy cooperation between China and Bangladesh is enormous. With a vast renewable energy industry, China owns a complete industry chain, rich construction and operation experience, and a marked advantage in technology, capacity, and talent. Bangladesh is endowed with abundant solar, winter, and tidal flood resources and has an immense power demand. The cooperation between the two countries in this field has not only attracted investment from China, but also driven the development of the local renewable energy industry, meeting Bangladesh's demand for renewable energy and sustainable development. This year marks the 10th anniversary of the Belt Road Initiative. Bangladesh is the first country in South Asia to join the Belt and Road Initiative. Over the past 7 years, the cooperation between the two countries in renewable energy and other fields under the framework of the Belt Road Initiative has served the common interests of both countries. At the opening ceremony of the third Belt Road Forum for International Cooperation on October 18th, President Xi Jinping promised that China will work along with all parties involved to deepen Belt Road Partnership of Cooperation, elevate this cooperation into a new stage of high-quality development, and make relentless efforts to achieve modernization for all countries. He announced 8 major steps China will take to support our joint pursuit of high-level Belt Road cooperation, including promoting green development. Under the guideline of the new development philosophy of innovative, coordinated, green, open, and shared development, China has opened the gateway to high-quality development with the golden key of renewable energy. As a strategic partner, China stands ready to share its experience, technology, and capital with Bangladesh and help Bangladesh realize its Vision 2041 and Smart Bangladesh dream. So may China-Bangladesh economic cooperation reach a higher level and China-Bangladesh friendship will last forever. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Excellency, for an excellent intervention. And you have mentioned that how Bangladesh-China partnership as cooperation over time has strengthened, and under the Belt and Road Initiative, how it could be further extended in new areas, particularly in the green, open, and the shared perspective, how China is actually considering the future partnership and collaboration with the other countries, including Bangladesh, where renewable energy could be a good area where Bangladesh, China go for much more partnership, collaboration, technology know-how, and technological exchange between the two countries, and FDI could be a major source for these areas. So we hope that today's kickoff dialogue will create much more interest among the stakeholders from both China and Bangladesh for further discussion through such a platform. So we are looking forward to continue this platform in the coming years and coming months, so that parties to both from the policymakers, government side, as well as private sector could take part in the discussion and can openly share their observations regarding various kinds of issues and thereby finding out the solutions. So thank you for your intervention. Colleagues, we are at the end of today's session. We have with us as a chief guest, Ms. Wasika Aisha Khan, MP, Chairman Bangladesh Parliamentary Standing Committee on Ministry of Power, Energy and Mineral Resources. And we are also honored that our Honorable Chair is also here for a long time, Syed Manzoor Ilahi, who gave me to moderate the session. So hopefully Sir will intervene at the end. I will share his closing remarks. But before, sir, let me actually invite today's chief guest, Ms. Wasika Aisha Khan, MP, Chairman, Parliamentary Standing Committee on Ministry of Power, Energy and Mineral Resources, to share her valuable remarks.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon. Thank you, Honorable Chair, Syed Manzoor Ilahi, for inviting me. And like I said to Dr. Moazem, that I'm always on board to discuss about renewable energy. And it was a very rich discussion, though being linguistically challenged, I did not understand the Chinese parts, but I'm sure Dr. Muazzam will share the pertinent information with all of us. The presentations by Mr. Mashfiq Hassan, Mr. Peng Gan, Mr. Rong Hai were informative, and the open discussion was very interesting, and the discussion by my colleague, Mr. Mahmoud Hussain of Power Cell, and by the Honorable Chinese Ambassador was interesting as well. Bangladesh has come a long way in the energy sector, in power generation. I do not have to remind of the data because all of you are aware of it. The government of Bangladesh has shifted its attention towards renewable energy for more than a few years now. Yes, the progress has been slow, but the political will is absolutely there. And Bangladesh being a climate vulnerable country, the climate crisis is an existential issue for us. So for us to be serious about renewable energy is very, it's easy, and it's for the betterment of our future. The Honorable Prime Minister has, her transformative leadership has brought us to 100% electrification, and she is very serious about generating energy from renewable sources. The Mujib Climate Prosperity Plan, which has been approved, shows us the way how to reach that destination. And we know for the implementation of that plan, we would require billions of dollars of investment. Foreign direct investment is always welcome. And when it is in the renewable energy sector, it is more welcome. And we have had very successful renewable energy plants which are already in operation. And we not only want the FDI, we also want technology transfer. There are special economic zones for our foreign investors. We would invite them to invest in manufacturing plants, and which will make equipments like PVs, like equipment for wind farms, for the tidal, for energy from the tidal areas. So that we have employment. The government has given many facilities for investment of foreign companies. There are tax holidays, there are other incentives as well for the special economic zones. So when we are talking about opportunities and challenges for overseas investment in the renewable energy sector of Bangladesh, we cannot leave out the special economic zones. We should have more emphasis. And I would have expected that in this webinar, we would have representation from the Internal Resources Department when we're talking about cutting down on import duties, taxes, etc. Because it is very important. That is a great incentive for investment. We have Shredder working to it's supporting the diffusion of affordable renewable power and other technology solutions for low-income households, and to enhance associated livelihoods. The power sector of Bangladesh has fetched, I'm told, that almost 30 billion for FDI in the last decade or so. And there is, like we heard from the panelists, that it is a profitable investment. Yes, there could be issues with bureaucracy. There could be issues with the process of investment, banking related issues. All of those can be solved. These are not insurmountable problems. They can be solved. So we expect that we would get more investment. And we have heard that the IFC has announced plans to bring private investment to the energy sector in Bangladesh. The World Bank is working on it. And there will be many changes in the energy infrastructure of Bangladesh in future. It will bring more opportunities for renewable electricity. There will be great increase in the number of electric vehicles. The transport sector will undergo huge change, and opportunities to invest in storage facilities will grow, and to invest in charging stations will also grow. So we should not just concentrate on investment in power plants. There are many other sectors to invest in. And like I would say again, my favorite thing, that technology transfer is always encouraged, and locally led initiatives are also encouraged. To make the government is giving tax holidays for exemption, corporate income tax exemptions, etc. So that is that is a form of incentive as well. We have many opportunities for investment in rooftop solar. We have heard from Mr. Mohammed Hassan about the net metering facilities that are already in place in the cities as well as in the rural areas under the REB. And we also have opportunities to invest in the solar-based irrigation system, another crucial source of renewables for Bangladesh, which will not only help cut down on the diesel use, will be much better for our environment. It will also help our agrarian economy. The price point for renewable electricity is getting very competitive. Given this trend, the renewable energy sector may not even need subsidies. So we have to keep that in mind. We want to slowly move away from the idea of subsidies. And we have heard about the central bank's revolving green fund, which commercial banks are meant to channel in order to finance green projects. There may be lack of awareness. It is important that we create awareness amongst the bankers, amongst the financiers, to explain how attractive an investment opportunity the renewable energy sector is. I would request think tanks like CPD to come forward to make start this awareness campaign. The world is advancing very fast, and we don't want to reinvent the wheel. We want to leapfrog. Bangladesh wants to leapfrog in this sector, and which means that we do not want obsolete technology in our country, which will result in standard assets. So it is important to choose what technology we are going to accept. And in 2021, globally, renewable-based power plants made up 84% of all newly constructed power plants. The future trend is very much in in favor of renewables. And in the case of Bangladesh, we have a holistic energy strategy. We want to have the Honorable Prime Minister is making sure that we have a balanced energy mix. So the new energy policies are going to be dynamic. It is not as if the IEPMP that is being approved today will never change. It will be a dynamic plan. So we are focusing on short-term and medium-term future, while market forecasting is long-term predictions and may become increasingly unrealistic. Our policies will highlight the needs of the near future and outline a strategy to fulfill the energy needs of Bangladesh in a balanced way, keeping in mind that we want to focus on renewables and do our duty to keep this planet safe for our future generations. So thank you again for inviting me. And I have learned quite a bit from this discussion. And let's all work together to make Bangladesh a smart Bangladesh, and by encouraging use of renewable energy sources. Joy Bangla, Joy Bangladesh. May Bangladesh live forever.
Thank you, Appa. Thank you, Honorable Chief Guest, Ms. Waseka Aisha Khan, MP, Chairman, Parliament Standing Committee on Ministry of Power, Energy and Mineral Resources. In fact, Honorable MP has highlighted 2-3 very important points. We do not just want to get the technologies, rather we want to manufacture the technology. So we want to be a hub for manufacturing as well. So Chinese investments could also focus on manufacturing different parts and components which are related to the renewable energy sector, whether it is solar PV or whether it is wind rotor or other kinds of components required for various kinds of renewable energy related areas. And also Appa mentioned about storage related areas, electric vehicle issues. Those are very important areas. And very interestingly, Appa has finally mentioned that we do not want obsolete technologies. That is a very, very important point, I would say. So the technology standardization of the technologies so that we could actually get the frontier technology instead of the obsolete sunset one. We do not want those technologies. So that, I think, is very, very important for our future investments and development. Thank you, Appa, for your kind presence and for your time. Let me actually invite Honorable Chair of today's session. In fact, Sir has kindly stayed for more than 3 hours here and heard about it. But more importantly, Syed Manzoor Elahi Sir has long experience being a private sector investor and being a corporate personality, has long experience what sorts of difficulties private sector confronted, both local and foreign investments in Bangladesh, and how to overcome those. And these emerging areas for renewable energy technologies, what sorts of measures Bangladesh should take. Sir, over to you, sir, for your comments and concluding remarks.
Thank you. Thank you, Muazzam. At this fag end, it's better that I make it short because it's past lunch time, and I think most of the participants over here don't want to listen to a long lecture. This is not the right time. I think you coined the right words when you said kick off virtual dialogue. I wish you would make it kick off dialogue, because virtually sometimes, I do not know, at least being old-fashioned, I don't get that feeling. At least you don't, the body language, or you don't interact so well. Virtually, it's not, I don't get that right feeling. I think the Honorable Chief Guest has done my job. So I don't want to, she has said that, she doesn't want to reinvent the wheel. We have to go forward. The facts are very simple. We need renewable energy. There is no other alternative. We need that because we are the most densely populated country in the whole world. Land area is very small. And Mohammad Hussain hit the nail on the head by saying that the biggest problem is land. And the land is so expensive in Bangladesh that forget about even power plants. Even when I were to put up an industry, the land cost, when I tell my foreign partners, when they come for joint venture, they get scared. He said, what is this? The land here is more expensive than the cost of the machinery. Literally. So any project becomes unviable when you have to buy expensive land. Of course, for every problem, there's a solution. We'll have to maybe bring in the Ministry of Land, somebody from the Ministry of Land. And there are many fallow lands that are not being utilized, that can be used. But you need the Ministry of Land's operation here. And so then the biggest is that in the industry, at least we have the economic zones. That's a tremendous achievement of the present government. This over almost 100 economic zones has been a real boon. I mean, I can say this as an entrepreneur. I have few pieces of land in the economic zones. There, I must say, it's the bureaucracy is very minimal. Most of the officials over there are very proactive. They listen to you. Decisions are given very promptly. And they do not make unnecessary complications. So that has been a real boon. I mean, I have to admit that. And industry for the renewable energy for the industry is not as a big problem as in agriculture, because I can make the solar plants on the roof to some extent. It won't cover 100% of my requirement, but at least 30-40% I can pick up. So that's a big thing, because you can't go 100% in a matter of few years. It takes time. It's a continuous process. This, we need a joint effort of the Ministry of Land. Next is the NBR. NBR has to realize that I've said this maybe a million times to NBR officials, that first make up your mind whether you want a revenue-oriented budget or you want an investment-oriented budget. So you keep on taxing the investments. I mean, you're killing the golden goose, the goose that lays the eggs. For heaven's sake, allow the investment to grow. And when the investments grow, then you'll have more taxes. If you are keeping on, you think, no, we are under pressure. They have their problems also. Yes, but if you don't make it investment-oriented budget policies, then investments won't come. And that is the starting point. And we need investments. Foreign direct investment is absolutely necessary, as the Honorable Chief Guest has rightly pointed out. If you see the growth of China, the miraculous, phenomenal growth of China, it's FDI. Now the locals have gone into, the FDIs have gone, the foreign partners have gone to a great extent. They have taken their investment maybe 100 times more. But they have served the purpose. They brought in to a technology and capital-starved country. So we benefited from there. Employment was generated. So FDI definitely, the same story in Korea, South Korea, same story in Taiwan, Thailand, you go anywhere. It's the FDI which has pushed, especially the export-led growth. So we need export-led growth because our domestic market is not that sophisticated or not that big, although there is a rising middle class, no doubt about it. But so all these put together, we come down to what? Energy. All these things will fall flat your FDI or your whatever you're thinking of planning, or the NBR planning revenue. But where's the energy? And you can't go for fossil fuels all the time. Because now for export-led growth, the first question, as I said before in my beginning, is that my foreign buyers, they don't ask about what machineries I have, what building I have, because it's all available on my website. So they don't want to ask the question. They ask that, what's your carbon footprint? They ask, are you sustainable? They ask, are you ESG? These are the questions that my foreign buyer, I'm talking of big institutional buyers. I'm not talking of small private buyers. And when you tell them that I have solar power, when you tell them that I have recycled water, okay, I may not have recycled drinking water, but at least I can, water the gardens, or I can water the toilets. So all these things now matter. So if we don't go for renewable energy, a time will come where the foreign buyers will say, I'm sorry, we cannot buy from you. At least a certain percentage. They don't want immediately 100% renewable energy. But they want definitely to know that what are you contributing to this carbon footprint? Or do you have any intentions, do you have any plans to go for renewable energy or the other sustainability? And sustainability is now another big buzzword. Because everywhere you go, it's a sustainability. And renewable energy is sustainability. So all these things put together was what I would say is that definitely CPD, this is the right word, kick off, but it's kicked off well, except for some of the Chinese, panelists, I could follow 100%. That's because of the language problem, but that's okay. We know more or less, I have a fairly good idea what they're doing in renewable energy. The backward linkage, what you said, will come when there's a critical mass. When you have critical number of plants, then this critical number of plants will demand, there are fast-moving spare parts. So automatically, like it happened in garment industry, the backward linkage took place. It comes automatically. But first you have to build the cat, build the industry first. So what I would suggest is that CPD, in the next meeting, we should discuss this, that this should be a continuous process and bring in more stakeholders, the Ministry of Land, somebody from the land, definitely somebody from the NBR, because FDI, any investment, any industry, NBR is involved. And directly or indirectly, they're involved. So we need the NBR definitely. So all these things we'll put together, and let's make this a continuous effort and let all the stakeholders express frankly their frustrations, their difficulties. For every difficulty, there will be a solution. We are not negative people. So of course there will be problems. You can't, it took China maybe much less years, but we have made progress. There's no doubt about it. Maybe the progress is much poor than what China has done. But that is because there's a different government policies, the way they implement it. It's a different system. We have a different system. So I need not elaborate on that. So you know what I'm trying to say. So there's a need of the hour is renewable energy, and especially solar. And more important is that maybe for the industry you can bring in solar plants inside the economic zone. But what about agriculture? Agriculture is fragmented. Our agriculture, as you know, is very fragmented. Everybody knows that. So how do you take the solar power there? There will be somebody has to get together all this different ministries, put them together and say that, okay, there are maybe 200 fragmented land, and they will be serviced by such and such plant. It can be a cooperative, it can be other things, it can be a supplier's way of doing business, foreign direct. There's so many ways. So what I'm trying to get at, Azam, is that make this into a continuous process. CPD has taken the initiative. It's a good subject. It's a very relevant subject. And this is a subject that will change, that will transform Bangladesh. Because energy means investment, means industry, means employment. It's a chain reaction. It just goes on. So I will not prolong your agony. So I would like to call this session, this meeting, this kickoff dialogue. Would like to, as a chairman, now I request you that, okay, time has come that we close this meeting. And I would like to thank all the participants for their patience and for sitting here for 4 hours. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. In fact, if I would actually take 2 words from sir's remarks, one is that first we need to build the cat. I think first, so we need to actually ensure the attracting foreign investments in Bangladesh. And the second
you have to make a onukul poribesh. You have to make if the poribesh is not onukul, who's going to come? Tell me.
Thank you, sir. And also, sir, mentioned about this dialogue process should continue.
Yes.
And you're very right, sir. So that is our plan. This is a kickoff discussion, which we did in an online basis because a large number of participants have joined abroad. But we will try to do it in a hybrid method in the future so that more participants can join. Today, we have an interpretation option in your Zoom link. So some of the parts you need to actually convert the language so that you could hear in English, which we have heard of, but maybe some technical difficulties in your part maybe. But thank you everyone for joining today's very lively discussion. Thank you, Honorable Chief Guest. Thank you, Guest of Honor. Thank you, the Chair, and also all the participants and the panelists who have waited and spent time here over 3.5 hours for this session. So we would actually again in touch with you in the future. And with these words, I like to conclude here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
এখানে জার্নালিস্ট যারা রয়েছেন কেউ যদি বাংলায় শুনতে চান আমি একটু পরে বাংলায় এক্সপ্লেইন করব আপনাদেরকে সবাই চলে গেলে স্যাররা